years, we achieved so much, prospered as no other people on earth, it was because here in this land, we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. The sloping hills of Arlington National Cemetery, with its row upon row of simple white markers bearing crosses or stars of David, they add up to only a tiny fraction of the price that has been paid for our freedom. Each one of those markers is a monument to the kind of hero I spoke of earlier. Their lives ended in places called Belleau Wood, the Argonne, Omaha Beach, Salerno, and halfway around the world on Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Pork Chop Hill, the Chosin Reservoir, and in 100 rice paddies and jungles of a place called Vietnam. Under one such marker lies a young man, Martin Treptow, who left his job in a small-town barber shop in 1917 to go to France with the famed Rainbow Division. There on the Western Front, he was killed trying to carry a message between battalions under heavy artillery fire. We're told that on his body was found a diary. On the flyleaf, under the heading, "My Pledge," he had written these words: "America must win this war. Therefore I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure. I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone." We must realize that no arsenal or no weapon in the arsenals of the world is so formidable as the will and moral courage of free men and women. It is a weapon our adversaries in today's world do not have. It is a weapon that we as Americans do have. Let that be understood by those who practice terrorism and prey upon their neighbors. As for the enemies of freedom, those who are potential adversaries, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, sacrifice for it. We will not surrender for it now or ever. We are Americans.
Need to get a handle on this stuff, because if you don't, in 6 months the Democrat machine will fire up and they'll tell everybody that they'll solve all their problems with socialism and pixie dust, and the voters are going to say, well, the Republicans aren't doing anything. They don't care what the Republicans do. The Republic, well, you know, we voted for the Republicans and they suck. They didn't do anything. They can't get anything done. And the problem is the Republicans establishment. I do worry that part of this is they hate Trump anyway. Okay, they despise him. They've always hated him. And to them, they couldn't throw him in handcuffs, so they're going to handcuff his agenda and let him run out the clock. That's what I worry is actually happening right now. Okay.
Drums are calling like a distant thunder. Fiddles whisper tales of woe. Through the wire, let the neon wonder. A new dawn story starts to unfold. Golden fields and steel towers rise. Echoes of the past ignite. With every beat, the future cries. A nation stands in the light. Singing
throne room looks great, okay? I mean, I listen, I know that they're all upset about this, but guys, just accept it. The throne room's going to be gorgeous. I mean, wait till you see the size of the thrones. They're going to be beautiful. I mean, I don't know why everyone's all upset about this ballroom. Like, they just haven't figured it out yet. That's just the cover story. I mean, the ballroom's just the cover story. It will be a throne room, okay? So, wait until the coronation ceremony, guys. It's coming July 4th next year. Barron's getting coronated. So, just, calm down, Democrats. You're going to be way more mad next year. And then after that, you won't be able to be mad anymore because you won't be allowed to be. That's how that works. So he becomes, when Barron is coronated as king and emperor forever of the United States, then you're not allowed to complain anymore. That's how that works. We just instantly, and it's only Democrats that are allowed to complain. Anybody on the right, even if you're annoying, you get to complain. But all Democrats, anybody slightly to the left of center, you're not allowed to complain early on. That was on page 400 of page Project 2025. I know it's a lengthy read, but it's in there.
Dark MAGA.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
My sole and exclusive mission is to go to work for our country, to go to work for you. It's time to deliver a victory for the American people. We don't win anymore, but we are going to start winning again.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm gothic MAGA.
From mountain to mountain, from ocean to ocean, hear these words. You will never be ignored again. And yes, together, we will make America great again. America will start winning again, winning like never before. I will never, ever let you down.
This is Donald Trump's house, brother!
I will always give you my love. America is a nation of believers, dreamers, and strivers. We will bring back our jobs. We will bring back our borders. We will bring back our wealth. And we will bring back our dreams. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. I promise you that.
There's a rumble in the distance, something stirring up the ground. Coffee shops and corner stores, people talking all around. But the words they're speaking softly got a weight that pulls you down. Something's moving through the grapevine, word by word from town to town. And they lean in close to tell you what they heard somebody say. But the truth gets bent and twisted as it travels on its way. Who do you trust? When the talk gets low, who do you trust? When the whispers grow in the halls of power where the secrets flow, who do you trust? Tell me who do you trust? Backroom deals and handshake promises sliding underneath the door. Politicians playing poker with the chips are rich and poor. Every word's a calculation, every pause worth so much more. While the people keep on waiting for the truth they're hungry for. And they lean in getting close to tell you what they heard somebody say, but the truth gets bent and twisted as it travels on its way. Who do you trust when the talk gets low? Who do you trust when the whispers grow in the halls of power where the secrets flow? Do you trust? Tell me who do you trust? Every lie becomes the truth, and the honest voices calling sound like strangers in the booth. We're all just trying to listen to the static and the noise, but the loudest information drowns out the quieter voice. Who do you trust when the talk gets low? Who you trust when the whispers grow in the halls of power where the secrets flow? Trust. Tell me who do you trust? Who you trust? Do you trust? Do you trust? Do you trust when the whispers grow?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Political Theater, everybody. We've got a huge show for you this evening. Thank you guys for joining me this evening. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got a huge amount of things to go over here. And there's something really interesting that came out today that I've got to talk about for the intro to the show. But thank you guys for being here. Before we do any of that, make sure you guys share the space out. Make sure you guys share the link out if we are live. Make sure you guys tell everybody that we are live right now. If you guys are on Rumble, YouTube, Substack, wherever you guys are tuning in this evening, thank you guys for being here. So the big thing that I want to talk about tonight is this huge story that came out. Well, obviously, okay, it's not really like a brand new story, but there is a bunch of stuff that's been coming out about the fraud from the Somalian community, and there's more stuff coming out about Ilhan Omar. So I want to get into this for a minute here because there's something else that I found today that, before the show started, I was actually sitting and reading some other stuff, and I was trying to decide what I wanted to talk about. There's some other interesting news that came out today, but then I came across a story that I'd never seen before, and I just thought it was so unique. I'd never seen it before. It's when you see some stories like this, you're like, what on earth is going on here? Like, why exactly is this something I'd never seen before? Why on earth is it something that is just coming across my feed now? So anyway, I think it's worth getting into. Before we get into any of that, though, guys, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. If you guys are on YouTube or Rumble, make sure you guys follow. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think about the show. If you guys want to read the comment, if you want to post comments during the show, I do read the comments during it. So thank you guys for being here. So let's get into this, though, because if you guys did not see, I posted this a few minutes ago talking about this, but, this story has been everywhere. It's been all over the place for years at this point. So Ilhan Omar and her brother marrying scheme. Okay. I mean, this is, whatever this is, the backstory to this has been around for a long time. But I think it's worth going through a new set of facts that I think are worth talking about. And I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm going to walk you through like a trail of facts and timelines and coincidences. And you can make up your own mind whether or not it's all connected or not. But okay, so obviously for years, everyone in the conservative media has been talking about Ilhan Omar has married her brother to get into the country. She married her brother, and she, apparently she marries her brother, then divorces him. You know, the story's been around for a long time. I think it was actually Steven Crowder who broke the story initially, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the original one. But of course, if you listen to Ilhan Omar or the entire Democrat Party, it's, you know, don't ask questions, shut up, it's a conspiracy theory, you're racist, how dare you question the member of the squad, shut up about it. No, okay, fine. Let's just accept their premise just for a minute, okay? Now, this is the story that I'm talking about. And I'm going to put this up on the screen here for you guys to see this. This is something I never saw. So this is in 2021. Apparently, wrong screen. There we go. In 2021, apparently, a FBI probe opened up into, you know, into Ilhan Omar and her brother marrying scheme. Now, this is something I never seen before. Did you guys ever hear about this story? I never heard about this story. Apparently, there's a guy that had a 99.999, you know, whatever the number is, % chance that Ilhan did indeed marry her brother. And he created a website and he put the website out. And then within 24 hours of that happening, he is raided by the FBI and he is taken to court immediately. Now, okay, just for an idea here, do people really believe in coincidences of that nature anymore? But let's just keep going through this, okay? So he's raided by the FBI, and it's on underage sex trafficking charges. He is then jailed pending a court hearing on Monday, and then the following Wednesday, his website was taken down. This is also the website that apparently was IlhanOmarDNA.com. Now, the other crazy thing about this is, how did I never hear about this? Did anybody else, was this like a well-known story that I just somehow completely missed? Or was this yet another ridiculous censored story? I mean, I don't know. But I mean, to me, the idea that we can just somehow miss a story, or I can completely miss a story that's directly related to things that I talk about and read about and look into all the time. And it's also in the same time frame in the same newspaper that was censored the Hunter Biden laptop. I mean, I don't know. Why is this not something that's talked about on a regular basis is, I guess, the other part about it, right? Like, if this was something that was nonsense, then it would have been mocked by everybody, right? The left would use as a cudgel against conservatives. They would be debunking it. Oh, my God, this is just nonsense. Instead, as far as I can tell, this has been just memory hold. No one talks about it at all. I mean, as far as this is something, Miranda Devine put it out again today, and I saw it. I was like, what is this? What is this? How is it possible that a guy almost immediately, within 24 hours of publishing it, he's arrested on child sex trafficking charges by the FBI? Not like a civil dispute, not tax issues, not some paperwork violation, but like the most radioactive, career-ending, soul-destroying charge possible, and the charge that, you know, makes it almost no one wants to touch it as a result of that, right? So no one's ever going to look at that ever again. No one's going to talk about this guy again because, you know, he's involved in all this. And we're supposed to just ignore that and believe what it's just all coincidence. Is that what we're going to go on here? Now, again, I'm not telling you that this is all somehow true. I mean, maybe this guy's wrong and maybe it was all above board. I have no idea. But what I'm telling you is that this is a pretty suspicious line of events to happen all at once. And from an FBI that we know is very corrupt. And so let's set that aside for a moment then. So we need to go forward. Flash forward to today, where Minnesota is currently involved in what is being described as one of the greatest fraud schemes that has ever existed in this country. I mean, they're saying up to $8 billion in fraud. So listen to Stephen Miller here when he's talking about this, and we're going to go a little bit further into this in just a second here. So this is what Stephen Miller had to say on this earlier today.
He's right about one thing. It's not brand new. The Somali community has been engaged in massive, endemic, systematic fraud against the American taxpayer for years. We're going to discover ultimately, and we are in the throes right now of a full-throated, all-hands-on-deck federal investigation, is that the scope, scale, size, and sheer magnitude of the fraud eclipses anybody's worst nightmare. Look, according to official government records, 90% of Somali households with children are on federal welfare. The real number is probably 100% because federal records always undercount. So you're talking about a population that has been imported into Minnesota in which virtually every single member of that population is receiving welfare from the federal government. This could very well end up, Laura, being the greatest financial fraud scandal in American history. He's right about one thing. It's not.
So, when you hear that, when you look at that sort of stuff, right? When you hear that sort of language and you're saying the greatest fraud in all of history, I mean, it seems hyperbolic at first, but guys, the amount of money that is being shown here that they're going through, and there's more. I've got more documents and there's more statements on this stuff to put today. But again, I want to go back to this because you're just thinking that the disproportionate number of cases going to the Somali community, the fact that Ilhan Omar became a rising star and she's directly related to the Somalian community. I mean, she's out there always talking about how the Somalian community is, that's why she's here. She's here to fight for the Somalian community. She's supposed to be the leader and the, promoter of all Somalian people. They're the greatest people ever. She believes that Somalia is far better than the United States. What exactly is happening here? I mean, it's just, there's no way all of this is just not, it's just coincidence. Ilhan Omar shows up here. She has this very strange, dubious, ability to get immigration records. And then as she pumps through this, she managed to become suddenly elevated in this political machine that rushes her into Congress, celebrates her as a rising star, protects her from scrutiny. And all of this stuff is now in investigation. And we gotta, are we supposed to just ask ourselves and to believe that this is all separate universes somehow? That Ilhan Omar rises to power. She comes up. She's now this big star. Her brothers, all of this stuff is murky. She divorces this guy. Then she continues to be this huge name in in Minnesota politics and is untouchable, a media darling. And now years later, we discover this billions of dollars of fraud are missing from the Minnesota ledgers. I mean, is that really? Apparently, her campaign victory, it was hosted at the restaurant that one of the guys from this fraud scheme owned. Okay. So she's photographed with this guy. She's photographed with these people. And again, we're supposed to believe that it's not related. Don't ask questions. I mean, really? I mean, this is just, what are we supposed to do? Trust the system here? Is that really what we're supposed to believe? That none of this is related. This guy, whoever this journalist is, apparently his name is Anton Lazaro, that published this DNA record, that he was just a terrible person and that no one should ever look into his stuff. No one should ever go back and ask what happened there. None of that's important. That was all that's all bad. And he was a pedophile and all this is terrible. But there's $8 billion missing, and Ilhan Omar apparently did marry her brother, according to all the reports that we have now. And there's just tons of money missing, and we're not supposed to ask any questions. So I want to, can we go with, who is this guy? Anton Lazaro. Has anyone talked to this guy? Does anybody have any idea who he is? Can we talk to him at all? Is it possible for us to go into him? And can we go and actually ask some questions here? Has anyone gone back and re-examined exactly what's going on here? Because I don't believe for a moment that this isn't somehow related. And that the FBI, the corrupt FBI that we know, is just somehow, none of this is it's not connected at all. Just ignore it, of course. I mean, this is wild to me. $8 billion goes missing. All of this goes missing, and somehow, nope, we're not supposed to do it. And I'm just paranoid, I guess. We're supposed to believe that, oh, by the way, this is the same government that told us that the Hunter Biden laptop story was fake. And it's the same newspaper that they censored during the Hunter Biden laptop story. It's the New York Post. Miranda Devine is the one who ran this story here. So forgive me if I don't accept the nothing to see here as an answer, because I don't know if Ilhan Omar is actually guilty. I mean, but according to everything that we can see here, she very much is. And I'm not saying the entire story surrounding her, from immigration to media protection, is Minnesota culture, is somehow related to the scandal. But it I mean, can you really think that it's not? Is there something, are we deliberately supposed to avoid this and we're just supposed to not ask questions about it? I mean, I've never even heard about the DNA story until today, and that's from 2021. It's not some news story. That's something that was 2021, and I never heard about it, unless someone can correct me and say that it was a big story that I just missed. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. And yes, someone actually commented here just a second ago. Now she's also worth $30 million. Yeah. And you got to go look at how much she was worth the previous few years, and then she suddenly jumps to being worth $30 million. Yeah, that's a good question as well. So I don't believe in coincidences, and especially not coincidences when there's $8 billion that is missing and a massive amount of fraud that is being uncovered, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Every day it gets bigger. I mean, I talked about this story a couple weeks ago, and it keeps getting bigger. There's also another story out of Minnesota today where apparently some kid in a high school had $40,000 worth of fentanyl pills on him. He was like, no, I'm sorry, even in middle school, he was like 13 years old. So what is going on in Minnesota? That's the question to start the evening this evening, because I think that there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye, and I don't know where to start with it, but I figure it's worth talking about. Welcome to the Political Theater, guys. I'm Walter Kurt. Thank you guys for being here this evening. We're going to get into the show. I appreciate everybody who shows up here in the show. Make sure you guys request if you'd like to come up here and talk. We've got a lot more to go over. There was some good news today. There's some funny news that happened today, but this stuff with Ilhan Omar and the Somalian fraud is just out of control. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It is crazy. So all of this comes out today, and I'm just looking at it like there is something else happening here. I mean, what is, the FBI, the fact that they somehow arrest this guy from this story, that 24 hours later, he is arrested. He publishes this. He's got the website up, and he apparently, so the story was that he had a picture of a cigarette that Ilhan Omar, they proved that the cigarette was Ilhan Omar's that she was smoking, and that's how they got the DNA there. And then the other guy, they went and hired people for hundreds of thousands of dollars and got it off a straw. I mean, it seems like a reasonably credible story, but of course, no one's going to talk about it because this guy's apparently wrapped up in child sex charges. So, I mean, I don't know, guys. To me, you try and tell me that that's not all related and not way, way, way too coincidental for me. I don't believe in coincidences of that nature. That's too much for me. I mean, maybe you can tell me I'm wrong, but I'd love to for someone to actually prove me wrong on that, because there is something weird going on there. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for showing up this evening. If you guys would like to come up here and join the show, you're welcome to do so now. You can go to x.com and join me on the X space. You guys are welcome to come up here and join on the show. There's other stuff that happened today. We had Trump in a cowboy hat. That was hysterical. Looks like there's also the National Guardsman that was shot. Apparently, he is up and moving today. So that is great news. Pray for his full recovery. It looks like he is going to be okay. But that is good news today that we got out of National Guardsman in D.C. that was shot a couple weeks ago. So there's other things for us to go over, obviously, but that's where we're going to start this evening. And Jacktron, what is happening, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, Walter?
What's up, buddy?
Not much. I've just been, seeing what's been going on. Yeah, Minnesota's really been hot. But you also mentioned that Ilhan Omar met with one of these fraudster guys, but Tim Walz met with him too.
Yeah, I mean this is what I'm talking about. I mean, it goes everywhere within Minnesota. It's not just like one thing. There's I think I have a clip that I saved earlier of the Minnesota district attorney that talks about this, and he says it goes up to the highest levels of the government. So hold on a second, let me play this clip here because I do have this one saved. So this was earlier today. This came out.
I do also have a Tim Walz clip in the files.
Okay, yeah, let's play this one here. We're going to go through a little bit more of this stuff because this is what's going on here. This is just continues to spiral.
What happened here in Minnesota that allowed this fraud to materialize, to metastasize?
It appears that the people at the highest levels of responsibility in the government of the state of Minnesota looked the other way.
What happened here in Minnesota?
I mean, that's pretty cut and dry, right?
This?
I mean, there's not really any other way to describe it. That looks like the highest levels of government let it happen. Okay, well, there you go then. I mean, now here's the other part about this. Everyone knows that Tim Walz he's actually retarded. Like he is. When Trump said he was seriously retarded, he wasn't being hyperbolic. Like Tim Walz is just not very bright. He's not a smart guy. So maybe that's part of the reason. But again, you're looking at this huge amount of fraud, this huge amount of cover up. How Ilhan Omar is the darling that no one's allowed to talk about and no one's ever allowed to question, even though apparently all this stuff has been known for a long time. I mean, if there's a credible report that shows that a congresswoman may have lied to get her immigration status, why wouldn't the FBI investigate that? Oh, that's right, because it's the Joe Biden FBI, the same FBI that was investigating Trump throwing middle-aged grannies from the Midwest. They're throwing all these people in prison. Anybody that was related to January 6th, they're kicking their doors in. But, actual fraud, actual immigration fraud, real violations of the law. No, we don't need to look into that. Why would you do that? What's the matter with you? You're racist. How dare you? I mean, that's what's crazy about this. I mean, if you guys have followed this story at all, apparently part of the reason that they didn't actually look into it is because they were worried that the Somalian community would accuse them of racism. So they just looked the other way. I mean, all right. Wow. That's a good idea. I love that. I mean, this is what happens when you have people that are incompetent in charge. This is what happens. I mean, Tim Walz is incompetent. He's an idiot. He's not only is he an idiot, apparently he's also a coward. He's worried that people are going to accuse him of things and say mean things about him in the media. And that's just not that's not enough when you're a governor of a state. I mean, the billions of dollars that are fraud that are being uncovered here, if this is true, all of this stuff here, this is crazy. And this is just one state. I can't wait for them to start doing this in other states. It's going to be worse. It's going to continue to get worse. It's going to grow and grow and grow. It's only going to get bigger. And I'm very interested to see how many of the other protected classes and communities. I mean, the Somalian temporary protective status has been around forever, and somehow we're supposed to believe that only this group is also committing fraud. I think we should probably go back and look at some of the other ones, because my guess is that there's a lot more than just this that's going to be uncovered in fraud. By the way, there's another incident of, speaking of protected class, the Ohio governor, Mike DeWine, came out yesterday, and he is talking about how upsetting it would be if the temporary protective status for the Haitians was removed because, well, it might harm businesses. I hate this guy. I've despised Mike DeWine for a long time. If those don't know the history, we mean Mike DeWine. Back in COVID, when he initiated his curfew for everybody, I worked with a group of people and set up a giant party outside of his house. We called it Party at Daddy DeWine's. So DeWine does not like me very much, but that's okay. I'm not a fan of him either. I've always called him DeWeasel. I've never been a huge fan of the guy. He's really obnoxious. He's a terrible governor. He's the worst Republican governor in the country. I'm very much looking forward to the days that he is no longer around. That's going to be great. Brought a new person up here. What is up, Elad Boker?
Hi, guys. Good morning.
What's up, buddy?
From Israel.
Oh, from Israel. What's up, buddy?
My name is Elad Boker. I'm 43 years old, lawyer, researcher, and businessman. I want to say something.
Okay.
Everybody looking on the illegal things that happen, but there is much, 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 much bigger frauds that nobody touched for some reason. And there is a way. For example, the COVID-19, if you do a breakdown,
you cut out, Ilhan. You still there? Looks like we lost him. Yeah, but what you were talking about, the amount of fraud that happened during the COVID. Now I can hear you. What's up?
Okay, on COVID-19, the grants and the federal funds, not everybody went to the people that they needed to, okay? There is $700 billion that was scammed.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the PPP loans. Yeah, I mean, listen, there was billions, there was tons of loans in that.
Many things. If you do a breakdown of who took the money, you will see like between 20 and 25% is organized crime organization foreigners, okay? And you have U.S. citizen born and raised, and you have illegal and people that became residents and citizens later. Their part is in that frauds are in all the countries, all the states together, is about between 30 to 45%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm well aware of the PPP loan stuff. Okay, there's tons of money that was fraudulently done in that. A bunch of people wondered why they hired 80,000 IRS agents. My theory was always that they were going after the almost.
Not only that, New York.
What now? You're cutting out a lot. Jay, what is happening, buddy?
Hey, Walter.
What's happening?
Doing good. Did you touch on?
Can you hear me now?
Elad, hold on a minute. Go ahead, Jay.
Walter, did you touch on the fraud in Ohio that they just whistleblower just brought out with the Somali community yet?
No, I haven't looked at it. Listen, dude, I just went through like this morning, right before the show started. I was trying to decide on a topic for the evening, and a story floated across my feed that I'd never seen before. Did you hear about this? That apparently in 2021 that there was a story that came out about Ilhan Omar. Like there was some guy that had DNA evidence that she had indeed married her brother. And then the FBI raided, investigated, and threw him in prison within 24 hours.
Sounds about right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? This guy just, and by the way, it wasn't just for anything. It was apparently for child sex trafficking charges. And he was like instantly wrapped up in that in jail within a week. He was all gone and no one ever talked about the story ever again. I was like, Huh? Like, what do you mean that happened? I've never even heard that. Like, I never even knew this story existed. So
Is
that's
this guy still vertical?
he's apparently in prison. He's lost all of his appeals. So my thought was, can someone go talk to the guy? Like who is this dude? Like no one. I'd never heard of this story, and I paid quite a bit of attention, and I'd never heard the story. In fact, I messaged Miranda. I messaged her. I was like, hey, how censored was this story? I mean, really. I mean, like how censored was this? Because I never heard about that story. That is crazy to me that no one that just, she posted it again today, and it's from 2021. I'm like, what? The hell is going on here?
Sounds like somebody you might be able to go talk to, Walter.
Well, I mean, he's in prison. So, I mean, I'll
Right.
have to figure out where he is in prison. But, I mean, someone should go ask this guy some questions. Apparently, his attorneys have said for a long time now that it was a political prosecution. Now, listen to me. I don't know. Maybe this guy is a scumbag. Maybe he is maybe he really was going after, doing child sex stuff. I mean, I don't know. But I'll tell you right now, it's too much of a coincidence for me. That's my point. I mean, okay, so Ilhan Omar, media darling, big story comes out that would completely crush her and actually prove that she is here illegally and that she needs to be, denaturalized and deported, essentially. If this is true, I mean, that would mean she fraudulently got her immigration papers. That's true. Now, we already have other documents that say that that's probably true, but this is a DNA test, and within 24 hours, they just throw his ass in prison and no one's ever heard from him ever again. I mean,
And
what?
this was in 2021, so this is Biden's FBI, Biden's
Exactly.
DOJ. Yeah.
Exactly.
It tracks.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, this is the same FBI that was doing everything they could possibly do to support the Biden administration and the Democrats. So are we just supposed to believe that, oh, yeah, they were just above board on this one? Really?
No. No.
I mean, really? I mean, that's what the point is, right? And the amount of fraud that's going on. So what's this with Ohio? You said there's an Ohio story coming out about the Somalian fraud now?
Yeah, Breitbart had it. It says there's an Ohio attorney. Her name is Mahek Cook, and she is it a male? I don't know. Claims that widespread welfare fraud by Somali migrants in Ohio, ongoing for a decade, similar to cases in Minnesota, accuses doctors. It is a she. She accuses doctors of rubber stamping fraudulent claims without checks, including coaching patients to lie, receiving kickbacks from scammers. She attributes it to there's a lot of loopholes in the Medicaid program, but apparently what they would do is they would pose as home health care providers for family members like elderly parents who actually don't need anything. So it says up to $91,000 per year per individual, including people declaring them bedridden while they appear active on social media. Such as, dancing at parties on Facebook while they're supposedly bedridden, getting, Medicare benefits, Medicaid benefits at home. Basically saying the Somali community in Ohio is implicated for cleverly exploiting these loopholes, doctors for lax oversight, plus the kickbacks. Medicaid system from the state has weak regulations that allow infiltration and abuse. It's described as massive, with the Minnesota cases seen as just a small example. So there you go.
What the hell, man? Okay, so the amount of fraud that I'm seeing here, this is now just like sprawling everywhere, which is kind of what my point was at the beginning of this. I was like, do we really think, this is kind of what my line of reasoning was here, Jay, was that, do we really want to believe somehow that it's unrelated that Ilhan Omar rises up in the political sphere so rapidly? There's things that could have taken her down completely, but we're not supposed to talk about them. You're racist if you talk about them. And by the way, anybody who gets close to it is apparently thrown in prison for child sex trafficking charges. And there's also billions of dollars missing from Medicaid fraud in multiple states now. Really?
Within her community.
Yeah, within the community that she swears is the greatest and best community that is ever communitied. I mean, that's just what she says, right? I mean, the Somalians are they're always above board. No one's ever done anything wrong in the Somalian community. They're amazing.
Guys,
Everybody
now
loves
is the
them.
time. Now is the time. The president should do it in a very few steps. One, to declare there is no, how do you call it? Past due time for scam or financial
I'm
fraud.
sorry. You're going to have to cut off, dude, because I can't have people interrupting constantly here, and your mic is getting me some feedback. So maybe you can come back on in a minute here. But anyway, again, this is the point here. The amount of fraud that you see across all over the place, and the fact that Ilhan Omar should have been taken down. I mean, I don't think this is not related to me. It almost seems like this is like a coordinated, you know, some intelligence operation type thing. That's what it feels like to me. I don't have any evidence to prove that or anything, guys. But, you know, sometimes when you see this stuff, you just, you know, you get a hunch and you believe that that's possibly true. And, you know, on this is just ridiculous. I mean, there's way more going on than just one incident of fraud. This seems to be expanding rapidly every single day. There's more of it. Now there's in Ohio. I mean, where else is there a large? I mean, I know the Somali community in Columbus is apparently massive. So everywhere that there's a Somalian community, I assume this is also happening there. So all of the waste, fraud, and abuse that's going on in Medicaid, I think this is just reality, that this is something that needs to be looked at and expanded across every single group, because this is just, it's just too much. It's just too much for it to be fake.
And the other thing that she said, Walter, remember, it's not just the best community to ever community, as you put it. They're also the victims, Walter.
Well, of course they are. Listen, we can't be mean to them, okay? These are the greatest Somalian communities that have ever communitied in everything. I mean, these are the greatest people ever, apparently. This is just such a joke. I mean, we're really supposed to buy that there's nothing going on between all of this. I mean, you know, I'm glad that Barbie's showing up on the stage because I want to talk to her about this theory, because she's going to probably follow my line of reasoning here. So I'd love to talk to her on this. Guys, make sure you guys share this link out. This is the Political Theater, weeknights at 9. Thank you guys for being here this evening. I'm Walter Kerr. Thank you guys for showing up this evening. If you guys are listening on all of the other streams, make sure you guys follow us there. Make sure you guys subscribe to the platform. Go to WCDispatch.com and you can support me there. That's the best way to support this channel. If you guys want to go on, if you're on X, you can actually subscribe to me directly on X. I'm going to be having a lot more exclusive content coming out in the near future. And obviously, as I said yesterday, there's going to be some new stuff that's coming out over the next couple days, next couple weeks that's going to be coming out here that's going to be directly related to what I was talking about yesterday. And I've got some announcements coming towards the end of the year. So, okay, is Barbie up on stage? It's obviously not working for me. So are you up here, Barbie? No. Doesn't look like
I see her as a listener, but that's knows what that means.
Yeah, I mean, this is the deal for me. Like, X hates me, so every time I'm trying to make sure I get somebody up on stage here, it never seems to work properly. But whenever she shows up on stage, I want to talk to her about this because I feel like she'll enjoy this line of reasoning that I'm talking about. But we'll continue on this anyway, though. So it is incredible, though, that I'm seeing all of this stuff. Now this is in Ohio, so there's more fraud coming out in Ohio. And apparently, so this is what this quote in this article, by the way, that you mentioned. I pulled the Breitbart article up. It's saying what we're seeing in Minnesota, or I'm sorry, what we're seeing in Minneapolis is just a snippet of what's happening in Ohio, Cook explained. Like, what? That doesn't sound very good. That sounds
She's talking about a decade, Walter. A decade.
Well, I mean, how long have they been here? How long have they been here? That's the reality. I mean, that's the deal. So, I mean, this is, to me, it's absurd that it's this much, there's this much to it. Hold on a second here. I'm trying to get Barbie up on stage. It said she requested, but I don't see her. I'll just send her a direct invite. Hold on. There we go. Now I see it. Okay. There we go. Send another request to see if we can get her up here.
I think it works.
There we go. What's up, Barbie? So Barbie, you missed the opening of the show, but I've got to get your take on this. Okay, so did you ever hear about this story that I just brought up a minute ago? That apparently Ilhan Omar in 2021, there was some guy who had DNA evidence to prove that her brother and her married. Okay, so apparently he had DNA evidence that he was going to release, and he had set up a website. He had set it all up. And within 24 hours of him going public with it, the FBI raided him, arrested him, and threw him in prison for child sex trafficking charges. Within 24 hours.
I actually did hear of that. And so I think that one of the reasons why Trump is going so hard here is because of all of this craziness, to be honest.
Well, I mean, this is what it's like. I never heard that story. So I never heard that before. But what are the chances that this guy just immediately gets raided by the FBI? Like, I mean, just
Under
like really?
Joe Biden, 0.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just like, oh yeah. So like, as soon as this comes out, he's going after the rising squad star, and immediately he's raided by the FBI and given charges that are like, nope, you're done. No one will ever even talk about you ever again. I'm saying, like, who is this dude? Like, someone needs to go talk to him. Like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, this is just ridiculous. And now we're finding billions of dollars in fraud from the Somalian community, which is, of course, this is Ilhan Omar's community. So again, to me, it's just like, there's no way all that's not related. There's no way.
Well, did you talk about how her husband, like, I think this husband, or maybe like she's been married 3 times, so I forget which husband. One of the 3 husbands has pictures with the restaurateur fraudster guy who
Yeah.
like defrauded.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's
like
what I brought up. Like,
everywhere.
it's the guy, one of the main guys from the fraud. She is in photos with him. So, I mean, it's like, okay. I mean,
So is Tim Walz.
yeah, so is Tim Walz. I mean, this is what we're talking about. I mean, to me, this just continues to spiral and get bigger and bigger and bigger. So every time I look at this, and then I saw this story, Miranda Devine put this story out again today, and I hadn't seen, like, I never heard of it before. I never even knew that this was a story, this DNA story. But apparently it is a story, and it's, why wasn't, if this is the, if something like that comes out, why would the FBI not immediately investigate that? Like, you would think, right? I mean, if there's an immigration fraud of that level, you would think that that's an instant investigation. Instant.
They were busy with January 6th.
Well, of course. I mean, they're busy putting, grandmas in prison. I understand that. But, the very busy job of arresting anybody that wears a MAGA hat is very important to them. I understand that much.
By the way, they couldn't find the pipe bomber with the exact same evidence that this FBI magically found the pipe bomber. But the grandmas, though, we got all of them off the street. So,
yeah, the pipe bomber story is another thing that's really strange because, all of that stuff that came out just here recently, like Steve Baker's story, there's all of this stuff that comes out about it. And then they release a new story, like, what is happening? I understand that we're fighting against people that are like deeply embedded and that there's obviously subversive actors that are out here trying to like derail pretty much anything that happens. I get it. But at the same time, it's like within 2 or 3 weeks of a big story coming out, then they catch the guy and it turns out he's some autistic guy that they couldn't catch. I mean, that just tells you that the FBI, and did you hear the real like Solomon's backstory on that? It apparently what Dan Bongino and Cash did is they took the old team off of the case, and then when they put a new team on it, they solved it in like 3 weeks. So,
yep.
I mean, that tells you pretty
No
much
new
everything I need to
tips,
hear.
No new evidence, no new leads, nothing new, literally. All the same old stuff.
Exactly.
That tells me that they didn't want to solve it. The question I have is why didn't they want to solve it? That's really the question.
Right.
Because why?
It didn't fit the narrative.
Right. I mean, of course, you don't want to solve anything really. I mean, you just want to make sure that everything's.
The problem is like this is my problem with this whole thing. They made such a big deal out of January 6th. They made it seem like we were like these dangerous extremists who were literally going to torch the country. And like now you have this guy who's saying that he thinks the 2020 election was stolen and that's why he put the pipe bombs into a place where Kamala Harris was 20 minutes before that. The next vice president of the United States of America could have been like, assassinated by a pipe bomb or whatever, blown up by a pipe bomb. And nobody is saying anything. Even now, after they've caught the guy, it's like radio silence. There is something very weird here. Again, I am not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just telling you that is not normal. It's just not freaking normal. I don't know what's weird, what's happening. I'm not going to like give you like options, but there's something not right.
Right. I mean, that's what my whole point is with the DNA story and this fact that this guy just immediately is wrapped up with some ridiculous charge and he's lost all of his appeals and no one should ever talk about him ever again. Like, by the way, we're also in this space currently right now. There is now apparently a bazillion Somalian activist accounts that are attempting to join the show. Let me explain to you. I don't want to buy any Medicaid. All right. I'm not interested. I don't need Medicaid. Thank you. I don't need any medical supplies. I don't need any interesting things that you have for sale. I'm not interested. So if you have a medical supplies for sale as a Somalian, I will not give you my credit card information. I am not interested in the Nigerian prince money either. So thank you very much, but you're not going to sell it here. Okay,
Walter, there's $91,000 a year in it for you.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, now I didn't think about that. Maybe I need to reevaluate what I just said because maybe I do want $91,000 a year. Okay, I don't know. All right, I'll think about it. What's up, Southern?
I have to stress this. It didn't fit the narrative. It's white supremacists. The Dems have not come out and said a word. It's because he didn't fit the narrative. And that is the reason why. Because they are trying to say white nationalists, Trump, MAGA, bad people. We need to be removed. We're the bad people. They are going to stick to this white nationalist. Look at the idiots like Jasmine Crockett. They say it out loud. But the reality is, this crap that's been going on in Minnesota has been going on since 2014 when Clinton was in office. He got a law passed that allowed where they wouldn't have duplication of state and federal oversight. It took a level of oversight out for business services money. In other words, the state was managing federal money without federal oversight. When an Obama came in and brought in more Somalians in, they're the largest population in the country. The second largest is in Ohio. And there's a lot of fraud. There's been 9 indicted in Ohio. Medicaid, Medicare fraud is rampant across the country. I've been in medical a long time, and I never understood how it was so easy to create so much fraud until I picked up a new client that came into umbrella over hospital system so they could go to a single billing system. Turns out every time they added something new, they just created a new billing system. There was no checks and balances. Sometimes it'd be 2 or 3 people on oversight. You only needed one corrupt doctor in there that could impact with very little oversight, and the hospital was eating it and they were not getting the money. But the bottom line is they have figured this out, and I'm going to use Omar's words. They didn't have the guardrails around it, and that's true.
Well, I mean, this is the deal,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this is going to be expanding out from further than just this, because the amount of money that's being wasted by our Medicaid dollars, and I think there's been some numbers that have come out here recently showing that a ton of the money that we spend on Medicaid is actually going to illegals and going to other people, and it's going
21
to
billion.
yeah, and
a year.
the amount of money is absurd. It's absurd. I mean, the fact is, if you're here illegally and you show up in a hospital, we should treat you, then deport you. That's what should happen. So that way you can never waste any more money ever again.
We're going to find over $250 billion of fraud in Affordable Care Act.
Oh, I don't
That's
doubt
what
that
we're
at
gonna
all.
find. We're going to find that.
And by the way, just for a point of something, I want to make sure everyone remembers this. The Democrats are desperately, and I mean desperately, trying to make sure that nobody calls it Obamacare anymore. Don't let them do that. Okay, it is Obamacare. It's not the Affordable Care Act. It is Obamacare, and they're doing that intentionally. They've done this slowly over the past few years. They're doing that intentionally because they know that if they keep it as Obamacare, that it's unpopular because it's tied to them, and they've been desperately moving it over to the Affordable Care Act. Don't let them do that. Okay, the Democrats are trying to move on this whole affordability nonsense. This is what their entire messaging is based around: affordability, and they are the ones who caused the problems. We can't let them get away with it. So make sure every time you see, and this is something else I'm trying to make sure everyone pays attention to, anytime you see the Democrats raising taxes somewhere, call it out. Anytime you see them moving things around and they're changing the tax code in areas, make sure you tell people about it, because it is the Democrats' policies that has caused the unaffordability in this country. It is not caused by anything the Republicans have done. The Republicans are not helpful, but they are not the ones who created these systems that have caused this crisis to be so ridiculous. I mean, guys, the amount of money that is spent for private health insurance, just to give you an example of this, and companies, okay? Some companies now, health insurance is 5 to 6% of their entire revenue, okay? That's how much it costs. And it's, for a family to have health insurance, like top line health insurance, it's $42,000 a year. That's how much it costs now. That's what a good plan on health insurance is. So if you have an employee that is working full time for you, okay, and they have health insurance, and say they are they're doing just like assembly or production, okay? That worker, $30,000 a year, but they also get full health coverage from you, okay? That means that employee is not making $30,000 a year. That employee is making $70,000 a year. Okay, that's what you have to realize. That's how much cost it is. You're paying more for the health insurance of that employee than that you are paying them in their actual salary. Imagine what this country could be. And just imagine this, okay? If instead of having to cover $42,000 a year in health insurance, if you could just give your employees a $40,000 raise. Wow. What a concept. Wouldn't that be something? Imagine money that we could spend, that we could actually have in this country, the wages that would go up dramatically if you didn't force employers to cover massive amounts of money in Medicaid costs or in just health insurance costs. It's insanity. The amount of money that's spent on that stuff is crazy. And this is also, this is killing small business, by the way. Small businesses to be able to compete. So it's not all small businesses have to have this sort of stuff. You don't have to always provide it, especially if you don't have over 50 employees. There's some rules around that stuff. But imagine how do you compete? How do you get the best employees if you don't offer that top health insurance? You don't.
You don't.
That's exactly right. You can't. You have no choice. You have to cover it. You have to have that stuff to be able to get the best employees. Otherwise, the big companies, the big billion-dollar corporations will eat that stuff up, and there's nothing you can do about it because you can't compete with them. So you're forcing all small businesses in the country. Please, guys, hands up if you want to talk. This show is broadcast multiple places. Please keep your hands up if you're trying to talk. But again, you're forcing small businesses. You're forcing them to cover these costs, which are just insurmountable at some point. And by the way, I've been on the board of my family's companies for over 10 years now, okay? And I have watched these health insurance costs go up. Every 3 years, this is how this works. Every 3 years, the insurance rates go up roughly 15% and the coverage goes down. Okay, so the rates keep rising and the insurance gets worse every 3 years, and it's gone up 2,100% since I've been on the board. Just to give you some reference here. That's how bad this stuff is. So yes, the Democrats completely destroyed healthcare, and we're also apparently covering enough healthcare for all of the illegals, all of the temporary protective, status people in the country. We're covering all this stuff, and it is killing business in this country. We have to fix it. And what we need to do is make sure that the Democrats are never able to touch it, because if it's up to them, they were going to extend those tax credits. They were going to pump that stuff back out. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to make sure it was continuing on. Make sure you keep paying for the illegals. Make sure you keep doing that. I mean, this is crazy stuff to me. They are destroying and trying their best to make sure that we move to a single-payer healthcare system. That's what they want. That's what Obamacare was designed for, by the way. That's what they really wanted it to do. They wanted it to become a single-payer healthcare system. That's really what they wanted. Go ahead, Barbie.
I have a question. Have you ever looked into how much money it's costing us to, like, during at least the Biden years when we had to cover all these transgender surgeries and all these transgender, procedures and medications and all of this stuff? Like, what is happening with it? Does that
listen,
I think that must play a factor in
I'm sure it does. Listen to me. There's something that came out earlier today. Riley Gaines quoted some random person. Okay, I'd never heard of them before. I didn't know who they were, but she quoted some random person. It was some trans dude, and he was talking about an experimental surgery, and it was going to be hip expansion surgery or something. Yeah, I mean, you just think about how horrific that sounds. Like, just leave that aside for a second, though. I saw that. I was like, okay, what the hell? So I click on this guy's profile, and I go over and check this out. And this person is a deranged, he's a transgender lunatic that is getting surgery after surgery after surgery. I mean, his next surgery that he was going into, he just posted something that said, "I'm going in to get the life beaten out of me tomorrow. Wish me luck." And what is the surgery? They're going to break all of his ribs so that they can shorten the ribs so that he has a smaller frame of body. What now? And by the way, his insurance, the way that it works for him, through, I don't know how it works, but he said it on this, and he posted a line on publicly saying that is completely covered by his insurance. Holy shit. I mean, just guys, to me, the transgender surgery stuff is crazy. Okay, it's insane. If you're going to pay for elective surgery, cosmetic surgery, I'm sorry, I don't think there will ever be a day that I can say you can't do that, because we live in a free country. If you want to pay ridiculous amounts of money to do horrible things to you, that's one thing. But insurance should not cover it. Okay, insurance should be if you're treating a medical condition, you're treating a disease, you're treating something. Okay, that should be how that works. But the fact that this guy is obviously mentally ill, and he is going in to have surgery after surgery, he's going to go get an experimental surgery to have his pelvic bones expanded so that he looks more like a female. Holy shit, people. I mean, what the hell are we doing? This is the craziest thing, and this is covered by insurance? Good Lord. I mean, it's nuts. It's insane to me. So I don't know what on earth we do to stop that sort of stuff, because that to me is, you're right, Barbie. I had no idea how much money that cost us, but I would love to know. That's a good question.
I think a lot. Like, if I wanted to redo my chest, for instance, insurance would not cover that. Or if I wanted to, have a bigger, I don't know, I can't think of any other elective surgeries right now, but, whatever. Make myself look like Kim Kardashian. My insurance wouldn't be covering that, but it covers it if you're a man who wants to do that. I just don't understand. What kind of logic is that?
Well, I mean, clearly it's because they're trying to become women, Barbie, don't you know? This is how things work now.
Which is fine. If you're an adult and you're not hurting anybody, whatever, do what you got to do. I will be calling you a man, and that's what it is. But I don't have to pay for your fucking surgery.
That's what my point is. Listen,
pay for it.
I am not paying for it, is what my thought is. Like, if you want to pay a whole bunch of money for a cosmetic surgeries of all kinds and things and, whatever, that's one thing. But the idea that it's covered under insurance is crazy. But further than that, to me, I still think it's gross. Like, these doctors that are doing this stuff, experimental surgeries on people, what are we doing? Like, I mean, this is like Mengele-esque stuff. And that's the way I see it. I mean, it really is. Like, this is like Nazi kind of surgery, experiment on human type thing. This is gross. I mean, if you guys go look, I mean, it's one of the posts I put out earlier is talking about this. This is, if you go and look on my profile, there's a post talking about this guy who's going to have all of his ribs broken and have them all shortened so he has a smaller body and frame. And he's like all excited about it. To me, it's, you know what it really looks like to me? It almost looks like they fetishize the surgery. That's what it looks like to me. That's what they really do. And that's even more disturbing. I mean, it's really gross. It really, really is. I mean,
Walter, they actually have billing codes for this, CPT codes, the ICD-10 CM. They consider it under dysphoria. So
Jesus.
they're seeing it as payer medical assistance, therefore necessary. So the codes
No.
vary. The codes vary, but they are legally covered under insurance plan.
Jesus.
Doctor at Hopkins got caught live on the camera going, "Oh my God, we're going to make a ton of money on these procedures because the reimbursements are super high."
Oh, yeah. Listen, I remember all that stuff coming out. That was a
Yeah.
lot of the stuff that I know that Matt Walsh broke a lot of that story back a few years ago, and that's what brought that forward in Tennessee. But I mean, to me, that stuff is one thing. But guys, the amount of people that are doing that is probably still not going to be even anywhere close to the amount of fraud that we're seeing from the illegals in the system. I think that's just true. Okay, we got a couple other hands here, guys. What is up, Hill? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Walter, how are you?
Doing just fine.
And your mom's good?
She's doing much better. Thank you.
Good. Glad to hear it. I have a question, as I haven't heard anybody talking about this lately. But, well, first I want to say that, if I recall correctly, Ilhan Omar was elected in the midterms of Trump's first term.
Yes.
And I remember, I didn't really like her for comments she made almost within the minutes of, taking her seat in the Congress. And all this stuff about her brother and her father and the immigration fraud, that's been known for a very long time. I think this publication Powerline did an exhaustive. So when I hear people saying that they're investigating and they're looking into it, I'm like, well, somebody's foot dragging on that. That's all I have to say is that we've known about this woman for a very long time. But there's something else that I don't understand, which is back in Donald Trump's first term, we had Pompeo as the Secretary of State. And I remember that one of the things that Trump did was he discovered that the Chinese were in our country at massive levels of infiltration, that we had all these Confucius centers all over the place, including at universities, that the Chinese had amassed dossiers on public officials all the way down to the county and small, town level. And that Pompeo had even had a meeting with, I think it was either all the governors or all the attorneys general for all the states, and told them about this, that, that we had been infiltrated. And then he said about, clearing some of that out and closing down those Confucius centers, et cetera, et cetera. So how did we go from that to all, it seems fairly sudden that now it's Qatar. How did that shift, and when did that shift take place, that we had this fire alarm about China and now all of a sudden it's Qatar? Does anybody have any idea about that?
Well, look, I mean, guys, the Chinese are obviously the bigger threat in this country for anything, okay? Like, I know everyone likes to talk about who is the problem in the country, but I promise you, the Chinese money has always been a much bigger problem, okay? It's always been a much bigger problem than any of the other ones. It's going to be. Code Pink is completely funded by the CCP. All of those pro-Palestinian protests, that was all funded by CCP, like proxies and stuff. I mean, that's all part of it.
Walter.
Yes.
Speaking of Code Pink, did you see that Marjorie Taylor Greene met with them this week?
Oh, that's nice. Wonderful. Good job, Marjorie.
Selfies on X.
No, wonderful. I don't know what the hell that woman's doing, but it's go away. Just go home. Okay. I mean, you're not going to do anything else. You're done in Congress. Then just go home. We don't need to hear from you anymore. Okay. What is up? Let's see here. I've got another hand over here. I'm trying to say, oh yeah. What's up, Helena?
Hi, Walter. Hello, everyone. Sorry, Walter. I put my hand up a long time ago because I just kind of wanted to get some clarification about the story that you were talking about earlier about the DNA. And you said, if I'm not mistaken, I just wanted to be clear that the person who came out as a whistleblower was arrested and now he's sitting in prison.
Yes.
And my question is for what?
No, so you missed the open of the show then. So apparently this guy,
Sorry.
whoever, no, you're fine. You're fine. So what, like, I'll explain it again. Apparently this guy, within 24 hours of him releasing it on social media, so he posted it on social media and he had a website that he apparently posted on social media. Within 24 hours, the FBI was at his house, arrested him, and he has been brought in on child sex trafficking charges within 24 hours. And by the following Wednesday, the website was taken down, by the way.
Okay. So then I think I heard you say something to the effect that somebody needs to go to the prison and interview him. I agree. I think somebody needs to go in there. You're the perfect person, Walter. You're always good at like these stories that nobody else wants to cover. But somebody seriously needs to get down to the bottom of this because that might be the one person that can seriously just kind of sort of break the dam on what's going on in Minnesota, which is so incredibly egregious. We all know. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but with everything that is coming out, and even President Trump put out, the White House put out today, a picture of her marriage license to her brother. And, I'm sure everybody knows because, X is kind of an echo chamber, that Tom Homan said that if he had proof that, she came into the country legally, aka marrying her brother, that he would personally arrest her. I think we're there. Like we're literally there. That would only take care of Omar. That doesn't take care of all the waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption in Minnesota. And now, of course, we're hearing about Ohio.
Well, listen, Helena. This is what my point is. My point is, are we supposed to really believe somehow that it's not related? That this woman here, she manages to get into the country under dubious immigration status, that she is a rising star in the Democrat Party. She becomes a huge figure in the Democrat Party, a media darling. Everyone's supposed to pay attention to her. Everyone loves this woman, apparently. We're supposed to believe all of that is just coincidence, along with the fact that there is billions of dollars in Somalian fraud that is just all over the place, apparently. Are we supposed to just believe that it's all just coincidence? They're not related at all?
No, we're not. And then that leads me to kind of just say once again, I don't have a huge platform on X and anything like that, but I think was it Molly Hemingway that put out that story today, or Miranda? I'm not sure. But underneath, I commented and I'm like, paging Mike Johnson, and I tagged him like, she needs to be expelled this evening. She needs to get the hell out of Congress, and we need to deport her by tomorrow afternoon. Like, this is enough. Like, the entire country needs to start tweeting at these people or show up at Congress. I don't know what needs to happen, but this lady needs to go immediately. Like, we cannot sit here and just be like, okay, well, we know everything that's going on. Are we done?
Well, listen, Helena, I agree with you because, and I said this earlier today and yesterday, I don't remember when I posted this, but I'll tell you, the only thing I want for Christmas is for the Republicans in Congress to grow a fucking spine. My goodness, these people are useless. I mean, it really does bother me. You go look what the Democrats are doing, okay? Even the guy that is like, he looks like a Snapchat filter. He doesn't even speak English at all. I mean, he is in there in trying to impeach Hegseth, or maybe he was trying to impeach Robert F. Kennedy. I mean,
yesterday, did you see him with Kristi Noem, Walter?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what it was. I mean, listen, the Democrats are filing articles of impeachment every single day against every member of the administration, and we can't even file articles of impeachment against judges that we know are corrupt. It drives me crazy. It drives me absolutely crazy. These Republicans are useless. I mean, they don't want to do anything, apparently. And to me, at this point, it seems to me that it must be intentional. They have to intentionally have no interest in getting anything done. I don't know how else to look at it.
They're not even trying.
At least try. At least attach the impeachment tag to them by doing it, even if you're not going to achieve it.
Well, that's what my
Just
point
do
is.
it.
That's what my point is. Like, why even wait? It doesn't matter if it works or not. Just do it anyway. Okay, like get the name out there. Make sure there's a big media hit about it. Make sure that every judge that their face is plastered all over Congress and they try and bring it to the floor to vote on it. Do it. Do it every day. Do it every single day. And the deal is, even if you don't succeed, the optics are good. Okay, the optics are good. It makes us look like we're doing something, but apparently they don't care about optics. None of that stuff matters to them. They just want to, I don't even know what they want to do, to be honest with you. They just want to be useless and make sure that we lose because they are losers and they like losing. That's what I said. I said yesterday that the Republicans want to lose the midterms. And the only way that we're not going to lose the midterms is if we beat them into submission and force them to not lose. That's the only way. And that's what Trump did.
Consultants, like, are they getting this crap from their stupid consultant class that like still lives on like Planet Bush Republic? I'm just wondering, like, what could be, or are they just like complete idiots?
Listen, the consultant class could be part of it, but I think the other part of it is that the Republican Rhino class doesn't want to do anything because and I've said this a bunch, that I think that what they would like to do is they couldn't throw Trump in handcuffs, so they want to handcuff his agenda and run out the clock. That's kind of what I think might be the case. I'm not entirely sure, but to me,
They're a uniparty. It's a uniparty. They're in together. I don't know why we even bother calling them rhinos anymore. It's a uniparty. They're in bed with the Democrats, period.
right. I mean,
That's
but
what,
again,
you know.
the point is that we have to put some sort of pressure on these people. It has to be different than it normally is. We can't just let them keep getting away with this stuff over and over and over again. It just can't happen. It needs to be different. We need to do something differently. That's what my thought is on this, at least.
I
Well,
say
just
go
real
back to the
quick-
billboard idea in their homes, in their front yards.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like,
listen to me.
that's
Like
a
I
great
said,
idea.
like, and you guys, for those who just weren't on the show yesterday, at the beginning of the year, I'm going to be changing some things. I'm going to be doing some stuff, and I have some announcements that I'll be making as we come into the beginning of the year. And there might be more than I think, more than I've done in the past to try and put some pressure on these people. Because at the bare minimum, why isn't anybody asking these people questions? I mean, seriously. At the bare minimum, if you think about it, right? Like all this time, do you see anybody asking the Republicans in Congress, hey, why aren't you guys getting anything done? Are there any reporters doing that? No, I didn't think so. I mean, I haven't seen anybody showing up in Congress asking these people questions. I haven't seen anybody showing up doing things.
Like rallies outside of the offices telling them to get off their asses and do something. Like, why is nobody doing that either?
I mean, listen, there's all kinds of things that should be done and could be done, and it seems to me that people just don't want to do it, and I'm about done with that. I'm not asking for permission anymore. Is what my thought is. So, like I said, things are going to be changing at the beginning of the year because I've about had it with these people. Same thing with the Indiana Republicans who refused to vote on this redistricting map. Why do you just want to let the Democrats win? By the way, there was some polling data that came out on this. 78% of the state wanted that to happen. That's nice, right?
So why didn't they? I mean,
because they're weasels. They're weasels. They don't want to be told what to do, and they want to act as if we're principled. They're principled losers. That's what they are. Principled losers. One of the biggest problems we have.
Is it really because Trump called somebody a retard? I mean, I really hope it's not that, but you know.
Oh, I hope it is. I hope that's the real reason. That's it. Because you're such a useless, spineless coward that Trump called someone a retard, and you don't want to. Oh, I'm so insulted by it. Screw you. I hope so. I hope that's the reason. That's so ridiculous.
Well, I've been saying that they're not really Republicans. They never were. They just ran that way to get elected.
Uniparty. That we need to call them that. That's what they are.
Yeah, well,
But
of course.
here's what they don't get. If Democrats win, they will crush them. All this like alliance, this kumbaya, like handshake in the back, like this is all nonsense. If Democrats win, they will crush them, and they will crush their families, and they will put them in jail, and they won't even think twice.
Well, listen. The first thing that they'll do is they'll throw me in jail, and then they'll throw you in jail, and then they'll throw Elon in jail, and anybody. But listen, okay, it's not going to be all that bad, okay? The gulags will not be horrible, okay? All of us will be able to hang out together. All right, it won't be that bad. Everyone,
Bring tequila.
That's right. We'll be able to talk through the walls.
So you're going to be trans, so you can be where Barbie is. Is that how you're
Listen,
gonna hang out?
listen to me. When they throw you in the gulag, there's no choice on where you go. You just get to happen to be there. It's not like they have a segregation. They just throw you in there and they just leave you there. So, like I said, it's not going to be all that bad. All of us will be there. It'll be okay. Okay, we can play chess through the walls. It'll be fine.
As long as we could have spaces.
There we go. X spaces from the Gulag. Now that'd be a hell of a series, From the American Gulag. That'll be the name of the show then, and we'll have to change it from the political theater to the American Gulag. That'll be it. So I mean that. But listen, guys. I mean, if that's what drives me crazy, and this is why I was really glad that I was when I was in D.C. this week, when I got to meet with some people and talk with some people that are actually focused, because there are people that are focused. And I'm glad that we're starting to move past some of this nonsense that's been happening with Candace Owens and all this stuff, because at this point we have got to get focused again, guys. We have to. We don't have a choice, because again, if they win, they will crush us. Okay, and that's what people just they whistle past this, and we're going to fight about all this nonsense. Like, guys, we've got way more important things to do than fight about what we're doing, because again, I remind you, the left is not sleeping. They're not. Okay. And if they get back into control, they're going to be more tyrannical than they ever were before underneath Biden. That's what's really going to happen. They're going to be furious because we played with their toys and we took their toys from them. And then Trump really actually went after them this time and took all their funding mechanisms and all that stuff. These people are pissed. Okay. They're pissed, and they're going to be tyrannical if they get back in charge. Okay. I've got some hands here, guys. What is up, Tom?
Hey, thanks for your show. It's great information. I'm from Minnesota. There's other stuff, Anton, that it wasn't really brought up at the time, but he was pretty high flyer in the Republican Party at the time, funding and kind of flying around the Jennifer Carnahan and all kinds of. So when that stuff all hit, there was no mention of the website. And I don't know if that was just not hearing the right information, but so I don't know that it was just because of that website that he went down. I mean, it's, and there was just a lot of people backed away from him with like, hey, we didn't really know who this guy was.
Well, and Tom, this is what my point is. Okay. Like, I don't know who this guy is, but my point is this kind of story. Okay. 24 hours after this happens. So he releases it 24 hours later. Suddenly he's in handcuffs in the FBI. And not only do they arrest him on just like, some dispute tax wise or something. No, they get him for child sex trafficking. One of the most that guarantees that nobody will touch him. That's what that does. And that's kind of what my point is. And again, I could be completely wrong. Okay, I could be completely wrong. This could be a complete and total coincidence, and it could be unrelated in any way whatsoever. But are you really going to believe that? I mean, to me, maybe it is. Maybe this is just the coincidence of the century, that the guy that releases factual DNA evidence showing that Ilhan Omar married her brother goes to prison within 24 hours, and then suddenly all of that stuff's gone, and now he's completely gone, and no one will touch him ever again. I mean, really? Really? I mean, that's my point. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not true. Maybe it's all just, circumstantial, and it was just coincidence. But I don't know about that coinky dink, guys. I'm not sure about that one. Okay. I've got another hand up here on stage. What is up? Let's see. Who is this? What's up, Tommy?
Hey, Walter. Thanks for letting me come up and speak. Like Tom, I'm a Minnesota native, and grew up in the northern part of the state, as they called in the last governor election, the rocks and cows. I live in the Twin Cities, though, and I've been down here for many years. Look, the evidence against Ilhan's been out there for a couple of years, right? The reality is that everybody knows that lives here specifically what's going on. As a business owner, I'm on all the local community pages through social media. It's unbelievable the way that our state has turned into such the liberal mindset that we're going to blow whistles, reading through their chat messages on the community pages. Well, it's legal to invite your neighbor to your house for dinner, right? They're trying to come up with ways to hide illegals. And it's like, these people have stolen billions of dollars from us as taxpayers. As a business owner, the next thing that's about to launch on January 1st with the family medical leave time off thing is just another, it's going to be ran through the Minnesota unemployment program, just another way for more fraud to be committed. And Tom Emmer's done a great job of bringing attention to it. But from Keith Ellison to Walz to everybody on down through the political party, nobody's able to do anything. So I really hope Trump steps in with Home and
listen,
and
they
Bondi.
need to go after these people in a whole different way. And this is something, you know,
But
it's been
gotta
driving me
be
crazy.
massive.
Well, it's been driving me crazy, the amount of stuff that we've seen and the fighting about what we can even do. Okay, this is what, like, the fact that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is still in this country and the Democrat judges are trying to keep him here. We can't deport one dude. I always wondered what the purpose of this guy. Why are the Democrats doing this? Why are they after this one guy? Why does he matter so much to them? Their point is very clear now. You can't even deport a single person. That's what they're trying to prove. That's what the whole message is with Garcia. They want you to know that you can't even deport a gangbanger. That's what they're trying to do. That's what their message is to the Trump administration. We won't let you do it. We won't let you deport a single person from this country. That's what they're trying to get away with. Now, they're not going to succeed, but that's what their whole message is.
Like you said, Walter, if Democrats win the midterms, they will have no problem coming after everybody that doesn't agree with them. And I don't understand why a year later, nothing has been done. It's just unbelievable.
Well, I mean, the deal is that they're fighting in every possible way they can. The deal is they're trying to show that because they have control of the district courts, that it doesn't matter what happens. And this is what my point has been the whole time, is that you're going to have to start ignoring these courts, the district courts specifically. You're going to have to start ignoring them. You're just going to have to, because they don't care at all. Allie Hopper, what is happening? How are you, sweetheart?
I'm doing good. How are you, Walter?
I'm doing just fine.
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about Lazaro is the person I believe you're talking about, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, the guy, I mean, the guy that was just talking before, I'm from Minnesota too. Not there any longer, thank goodness. But Lazaro was a scumbag. So I'm not saying that, you know, what he's saying is incorrect. I'm just saying that it's not, you know, out there that he would be charged for sex trafficking. The guy was a complete scumbag, and these charges have been going on since 2023. So,
well, I mean, again, apparently, so I looked further into it. Apparently, from the charging documents, from the way that they say it happened, that the apparently the investigation into him was all prior to any of this. I mean, it was apparently that's what the argument is. But again, and this guy might be a scumbag, and I have no idea. But my point is that the chances of this guy releasing stuff on Ilhan Omar and then instantly being arrested by the FBI and thrown in prison under a scenario where no one will ever talk to him ever again. I mean, guys, I don't know. This guy might be a scumbag and might be all coincidence, but that's a hell of a coincidence is what my point is. And just, and especially now that we go forward from this and find out that, you know, Ilhan Omar's entire community has been defrauding the American people and is, you know, essentially, someone just posted this a second ago. I don't know if this is accurate, but one of our people in the stream said that remittances account for 25 to 40% of Somalia's entire economy. Like, what? Holy crap,
Yeah,
people.
that is accurate. I think it's like 20%. I mean, 45 is a little high, but it's 20%. That's for sure. I just was fact checking that.
I mean, that's just crazy to me. That's some crazy stuff here, people. And again, I don't know, but to me, all of this stuff together is why I ask these questions. And again, I never even heard about this guy before until, you know, maybe I just completely missed the story. But you know, I never even heard about this guy before. But the fact that it's some big hit on Ilhan Omar that got buried, and the guy that apparently did it is now in a scenario where no one will ever speak to him ever again. I don't know. I mean, it seems a bit strange to me. That's what my whole thing is. You know, I just don't believe in coincidences of that level. Is what my thought is. Okay, go ahead, Allie, if you wanted to respond, though.
yeah, I just know that there's going to be way more that comes out of Minnesota. There were way more people involved. I mean, we have Steve Simon, we have Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison is chock full. That guy's closet is chock full of skeletons. I mean, there already are articles about how his son was collecting money from serving on city council while he was also, you know, over in Harvard. He was collecting $110,000 a year plus $57,000 for something else, but he was at Harvard going to school, and he was wanting reimbursements for his travel back and forth. So, I mean, we're just going to find out more and more coming out of Minnesota, but it was all the foundation of their roadmap for how they were going to do this across the country. So the more that we find out coming out of Minnesota, the more you're going to see echoed in cities across the country.
Oh yeah, listen to me. This is the interesting thing about this is like what we've wondered why exactly the Democrats are so furious about the illegal immigration of us looking into it and actually going after it. Well, I mean, it's starting to become pretty clear now, isn't it, guys? Why? Well, there's all their money, apparently. I mean, it's getting pretty clear at this point. I mean, like, every aspect of the Democrats is just based around fraud in massive droves, apparently. I mean, this is crazy stuff to me. And this is, no wonder they're so furious about us touching any of this stuff because, well, you're going to start uncovering massive amounts of fraud across the entire country, apparently. I mean, now we've got Minnesota, now Ohio. And I mean, it's going to get worse. And if you think that it's just the Somalian community, wait until I guarantee you it's going to go through all of these TPS categories. They're all going to be rife with fraud. That's what's going to happen. They're going to start finding more and more fraud. It's going to be all over the place. And this is the kind of stuff that's going to go into the midterms, and I hope we capitalize on it. And this is what, I want to get focused and make sure we win these midterms because, guys, they are going to fight like hell to make sure that we stop looking at their fraud. How dare we look at this fraud? I mean, everyone needs to go to prison that looked at our fraud is what they're doing right now. You guys found our fraud, so now you need to go to jail. That's what really seems to be happening at this point. Okay, we got Chris up here on stage. What is happening, Chris?
Oh, my favorite topic.
The amount of fraud or Somalian fraud or Ilhan Omar?
The Ilhan Omar and Somali community fraud. See, this is OG Chris over here. Like, I'm going all the way back to like 2011, 2010. And because the second largest Somali community at that point in time in the country, aside from Minneapolis, was Kansas City. And what they have in common was how they ballot harvest. They group vote. They would use translators to vote the way that they vote. So like literally they would, so people don't understand the Somali community is a male dominated tribal community. And so they would take the female votes in there, and then they would have their translators. They would give them the ballot. The translator, I'm using air quotes here, Walter, would be the same people that are also filling out all of their benefits for their housing, their food stipends, all of these things. And they literally vote who they want. So like I can guarantee you if they went back and looked at those ballots, it's going to be Ilhan Omar. It's going to be maybe one or two other people. And that's it.
Hey, Chris, so what's the Somalian population of Kansas City now?
Oh, I'd have to look now, man. But
is it still a significant size?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, then there's probably at least $6 billion worth of fraud there. So we got to go check that out.
There's for sure. Listen, so here's the scheme with these people. This is what I had uncovered. My team had uncovered back in 2010. Ironically, it was in a Democrat primary. There was a candidate that had run. He was like more of a conservative Democrat back then because those existed, and then it was like against the son of like a payday lender, really shady cat, right? And it was decided by one vote. Well, then what happened was it turned out there was all these Somalis that had showed up to vote, and they weren't even citizens.
Of course.
And so this is why the Somali fraud is so they got away with it for so long, is because when these folks come over from tribal areas, they don't know their date of birth. They don't have a date of birth. They don't even really have much of a name. They have a tribal name, right? So all these people are either given January the 1st or June the 1st date of births. And so it's very easy for them to kind of fly through the system. But what you have generally is a true Somali community nonprofit that wants to help the Somali community, like the refugee community. Then you have the Democrat empowered political version of the Somali community. Enter Ilhan Omar and her entities out there. And so there was one in Kansas City that actually the FBI shut down because of it. I mean, I had people prosecuted. I'm probably one of the only people you'll ever meet that had people prosecuted for voter fraud, tied to the Somali community. And it was like, this is how the Democrats are stealing the elections. This is how I figured out that they were going to the DMVs and pretending and being put on the voting rolls. And this is how I figured out back then that 0 states verified citizenship once somebody's on the voting rolls. And now all of a sudden, and credit to Chris Kobach back then. Even Chris Kobach was pushing that in Kansas. He met resistance back then. But the point is that's how it went down. Here's why I think this is going to be super important. And here's something I bring up about Ilhan Omar and this whole deal, this Somali fraud. Pay attention to the names, Omar and Noor, N-U-R. That is her tribal actual last name, Noor. It's not Omar. And so the tribal name Noor, this is what her brother's last name was. If you actually, when the brother she married, this is how she got away with it. But it was the tribe. That tribe is the tribe of the Marxist dictator that was overthrown in the Civil War, and her father was a high-ranking military official. And
Listen, just the fact that we are living in America and apparently our elections are being decided by Somalian tribal blood feuds is possibly the most absurd thing that has ever happened. I mean, like, how on earth did we let this happen as a country? We are more than asleep at the wheel. This is disaster zone. I mean, Somalian tribal blood feuds apparently decide American elections and where American tax dollars go to the tune of billions of dollars. This is insanity to me. This is insanity to me.
Her grandfather was essentially the shipping magnate for Somalia's dictator, right? So he had the shipping company that was directly tied to the Marxist dictator. And you guys remember this, you guys remember Black Hawk Down. This was that Civil War. And so what happened was they sent a lot of these folks that were tied to the Marxist dictator in the military there. They took their kids and they sent the males to Europe, and they sent a lot of the females to the United States under different last names. And enter Ilhan Omar, and then she got positioned with specific families, and she was promoted to do exactly what she's doing now. And so, and this is a sad story for the state of Minnesota, because Minnesota is actually a beautiful state. It used to be a swing state. It was a purple state. It was sometimes red, sometimes blue. That you had a progressive Paul Wellstone there, but you also had very conservative people there. And so it is a beautiful state. But what has happened to Minneapolis, especially post George Floyd, was one of the most insane things I've ever seen, Walter.
I mean, it really is that bad.
Yeah, you have Somali, I would say tribal warlords on the corners of Little Mogadishu, that have taken over those kinds of areas. The Walgreens in Little Mogadishu, everything is you have to literally be escorted by a security guard to go to a Walgreens to buy toilet paper, for example, which is behind plastic, behind a lockbox. It's the most insane, sad situation of a beautiful city.
Yeah, it really is. Jay, go ahead. I know you were trying to get in here.
Yeah, what you were talking about and Christopher with the tribes, the Captain Phillips guy, Fateh, and he ran against Jacob Fry.
Oh yeah.
Jacob Fry hooked up with the more popular or populated tribe to beat Fateh, because they're two rival tribes, and he picked the right one. That's how he beat him.
Well, but by the way, the funnier part about that was, did you guys see Jacob Frey when he went to go eat some of the Somalian food? That was possibly the funniest video I've ever seen. He nearly vomited as soon as he took a bite. It was very, very funny. Okay, I got a hand up here. Betty Rose, you've been trying to get in here for a minute. Go ahead, Betty.
In this area, Walter, I just want to say one more thing. They literally have a board of elders. So when people, when they want to go do something, they have to go to these tribal leaders in the United States. This is happening. They go to the tribal leaders and they have to seek their permission to do anything.
Amazing. Okay, Betty Rose, go ahead.
Thank you, Kurt. Gosh, the mic wouldn't cut on. First of all, I'm delighted to hear about your mother and that she is recovering.
Thank you.
And you were very relieved about that, I'm sure. Two things. First of all, I was just going to say another area where when Obama was president and they brought a lot of refugees in is Dearborn, Michigan, around that area.
Yep.
And I was reading, in fact, you were talking about this maybe last week, a week before last, and I looked it up. But they got several of these foreigners, and I don't know if now they have even if they are considered refugees or citizens, but they are mayors of little cities and towns around there. I think there's one, I'm not sure in whether it's in the US Congress, but certainly in their state legislature. So Michigan is different than what it used to be too. I wanted to get back to when you were especially talking about how quickly the FBI, arrested him, and there's no signs of his work on the internet anymore. I had read some years ago or heard some years ago when the FBI wants to bring someone down, it's very easy to plant incriminating evidence, especially.
That I've heard many times before. There's
And I didn't
always
hear
something
you
they find
say
on the computer. Yeah.
Right. Well, I didn't hear you say specifically that. And I thought, that is what I had been reading about. Cheryl Atkinson, and I just looked her up again because I thought, what is that gal's name? She ran into all kinds of difficulty with her computer and all the work she had saved on it. And I believe, and I could not find it when I tried to look it up just a minute ago, but I think there was some stuff put on her husband's to make it look like her husband was involved in things. You just really have to be careful these days. So if the Democrats come after, I'm older, I'm in my early 80s at this point, so I do not fear so much them coming after me, but I do have my daughter and son-in-law and 4 grandchildren I worry about. But they can find everything about us, but we have got to win the midterms. That's all there is to it. And North Carolina, I wish you'd come to North Carolina and expose everything. They're trying their best, but Charlotte, my Lord, that is just a crime scene waiting to happen every day. Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you, Betty Rose. Thank you for coming up here. And listen, there's going to be more than one place that I'm going to be at during the midterm cycle here. I'm going to be all over the place. So, maybe I'll make a trip to North Carolina at some point. Don't be surprised if I'm around there. But the first place I think I'm headed right now is probably going to be Indiana because, a few, Republican senators believe that they can just coast by and nothing's going to happen to them. And that shit ain't happening anymore. Okay. We've got a couple other people up here on stage. Let's see here. What is up? Tommy Casanova. What's happening, buddy?
Hey, good evening, Walter. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to grab a mic real quick because I know I sound like a broken record, but it's something I want to disseminate to everyone. I am deeply concerned. I think the reason why we see so much widespread fraud is you got to think about how do all the agencies that manage all of these programs allow this to happen. It's because they turn a blind eye, because they're ideologically captured. I mean, I just pulled from Grok all the open secrets data for donation records, right, by federal agency. And I just asked for the top 10 non-military. I put that in the purple pill. It's still, even in 2024, 90% of federal workers, regardless of agency, contribute to Democrats.
Yeah,
and I think
of course.
Right. It's absolutely. I think that's an existential threat to our republic, and I think that whether it starts from grassroots or think tanks, I think that it has to stem from somewhere. So I'm trying, from just a layman, one guy living in Arizona, saying, how do we solve this problem? Because I see no one trying to solve it. So I also put in the purple pill a kind of a radical solution to this problem. I really do think that we need to add a new category for the public workforce that says, you know what, we need, just like the way we used affirmative action, right, to incorporate minorities into the workplace. I think that precedent allows us to say, you know what, that there should be ideological representation within the federal workforce, within the IRS and the DOJ, and it should be that you have 2 HR departments, right? And when you need to hire 500 people for a department, 250 are hired by the Democrat HR department, 250 are hired by the Republican HR department. And that way, if you actually had more ideological representation, I don't think that these programs could get ripped off the way they do, because obviously.
Here's what I think the solution really is, okay? And the solution is federal workers can be fired. That's what needs to happen, okay? One of the biggest problems we have is that employees for the government essentially live in this world where they can't be fired. You know, it's almost impossible for you to get rid of a federal employee. A lot of people say that. I mean, if you have an employee in the federal government, they believe that the job is theirs, it's their right, and you can't even tell them how to do it, let alone fire them. Okay, that's the way that a lot of these people operate, and they believe that. And I think the solution to that is that the president, whoever the president is, if he wants to come in and clean the entire federal government out every 4 years, we have to do that, then that's what's got to happen. That's how it's got to be. I mean, you got to be able to come in and wipe everything out if you need to. And there can't be any layover period. And the reason that would be a good thing is because then all of the people would then be incentivized to want to be as neutral as possible. That's why, because if the next administration is coming in and you're not neutral, then you're going to get fired. And that's how it should be. You should be subject to the will of the president, because the president is the executive, and all of the executive branch should be at the will of the president. The president should say, okay, we don't like you, then you're out. You're out. There's no questions. There's no long-term, legal lawsuit saying, well, you can't fire them. That violates some ridiculous bullshit law that someone came up with. And the bureaucrats that have been there the whole time are the ones that came up with the regulations that keep them from being fired. All of that stuff needs to go away. All of it needs to go away. Because the problem I have with it is that, again, and you look at all these agencies and why they can't fire these people. What on earth are we doing? Okay, the idea that there's a bureaucracy that somehow is not accountable to the next voting election is nonsense. Okay, it's the same thing with these independent said agencies. That's also nonsense. An independent agency to me means one thing. It's independent of the voters. That's what an independent agency is. That's nonsense. Okay, we should have never even allowed that to grow as bad as we did. Now, fortunately, things are starting to change. Okay, we've got Humphrey's executor is a case that's working its way through the Supreme Court currently. That's going to be a big deal. We also overturned Chevron deference, which is also a massive deal. Two of the biggest court cases that could ever happen in the history of this country might be decided by the Supreme Court. Chevron being overturned is still, I would say, one of the biggest things that ever happened. That Chevron, for those who don't know what that is, Chevron is what allowed the bureaucracy to essentially, when they wrote a regulation, so when a law was written and it was ambiguous, then that meant that the agency itself was the one that got to decide how those regulations were implemented, essentially. So, and then they got to hold, court around it, essentially. That's how the EPA grew so out of control. The EPA that was, it got so out of control that they were trying to say that they could use a puddle in your backyard, and that was considered a navigable waterway. Seriously, that's a real thing. Okay, like that's how insane this stuff was getting. Okay, this is what they were trying to do, and there was nothing you could do because it was always Chevron deference said that, well, we deferred to the experts at the agencies, and the experts said that your puddle in your backyard means that you can sail a boat through it, which means they have regulation control over it. I mean, it's insanity. This is what was happening, though. So that's gone, and if they get rid of Humphrey's executor, then the president should be able to start removing people a lot. Now, there's some argument to be said on whether or not the Humphrey's executor is specifically to the independent agencies or whether or not that includes all of the other agencies. But to me, my point is that we need to get to the point where the president is allowed to fire everybody at once if they want to. If they want to get rid of everybody, you're out. That's what should happen. That's how it should have been. That's how it should have always been. And if we have to clean out the entire federal government every 4 years to make sure that we actually have a functioning federal government, then that's what we got to do. And there shouldn't be any questions about that, because obviously whatever they're doing right now just means that with the Republicans, when they get in charge, they have to spend all of their time fighting the Democrats. And when the Democrats are in charge, all of their policies roll through like butter and everything goes right along and there's no problems about it. And then we can't do that anymore. Okay, we can't do that anymore because obviously it is not working. And it appears to me that the Democrats, look what they did when Biden was in charge. They prosecuted hundreds of people. Okay, they managed to put Trump in, they got a mugshot of Trump. They put all of his allies in prison. They threw them out of the banking system, for God's sake. Okay, this is what they were able to do. Someone yesterday on the show, Jared Silver, one of the guys, he's a progressive type guy that he comes into these shows and he talks and whatnot. And he said, he said something that was incredibly accurate. He said, how do you get these people? How do you prosecute these people? Well, ask the Democrats. Seriously, they know how to do it, apparently. They knew how to get everybody in prison. They knew how to throw everybody in jail. They knew how to go after everybody. Everybody was able to be removed from the banking system when the Democrats were in charge. So ask them. Apparently, they know how to do this stuff, and that's the problem. Because they know that in their system, when they're in charge, they've already got all the bureaucratic wheels greased and ready to go, and they'll just roll right along with it. And that's something we can't do anymore, because if that's allowed to happen, then the next time that they're in charge, again, as we've said multiple times already, they're going to come after all of us, and it's not going to be pretty. So we need to fix that. We have to. There's no choice. Okay, and we have another hand up here from a new speaker. What is up? Terry Dunway.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Walter, Insurrection Barbie. We were friends on my former account that I lost. And my dear friend down there, Miss Betty, I love her ever so much. I just want to say that if we don't get these elections secured, and I know that Harmeet Dillon is doing a lot to do this. Um, I poll watch, and I was poll watching in Fulton County, Georgia, and I hope for sure that they get my signed affidavit and call me in to tell them what I witnessed. So, what we have to do is at the very local level, learn how to, work at polling precincts. And then I've managed polling precincts too, so that I knew how to detect fraud when I saw it. But Walter, thank you so much. This is an amazing space. I'm following you, and you're doing a great job and just sharing out all this great information. I've shared the space, but
I
we've
appreciate
got
that.
a great country to save. And poor Tina Peters is, imprisoned for trying to save our country from election fraud. And I just want to ask everybody to say a special prayer for her, that she will soon be released. A pardon does not equal, uh, getting out of prison. And actually, I think it was the governor that said he was not going to give her a
Yeah,
pardon.
listen, unfortunately for Tina Peters, and I said this yesterday on the show, and people weren't very happy about it, but the reality is for Tina Peters, unfortunately, she is charged in state crimes in a blue state with a blue governor and a blue legislator. She's not getting a pardon, guys. She's in prison. She's not going anywhere. It's unfortunate, but it's true. I mean, it's just to be realistic on about it.
Her lawyer has come up with a brilliant idea that she is actually a fact witness in
Right.
a federal election fraud case.
I mean,
And
I've
they
heard this
should.
argument before, and my thing is, I think in that scenario, then you would have to expect that the state works with the Fed, like is willing to work with the federal government, and why would they? They hate them. I mean, they're not going to do it. Maybe, okay. And that someone had an even better idea that we send the SEAL team in to extract her, which I like. That we should do. I mean, that should be the first thing we did. Like that, I think it's a brilliant idea. We should absolutely send in the SEAL team to extract Tina Peters as a federal witness, just because. Can you imagine how crazy that would be? That would just be the most amazing story ever. We extract a federal witness from protective custody from from a Democrat state like compound. That would just be crazy. But I mean, I don't know, guys. There's a bunch of ideas on how they could try and do this. I don't know if it's legal. I don't know how they do it. I'm not hopeful only because of where she is and how she was charged. It's unfortunate, but I just think that's just the reality of the scenario.
Well, everybody knows that she was wrongfully charged, just like she's like almost a J6 prisoner still.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about someone that's wrongfully charged, talk about Derek Chauvin. Okay, that's the way I always represent this to people.
I can
Listen, that's the way I go about it for people, because Derek Chauvin, guys, Derek Chauvin is an innocent man who will sit the rest of his life in prison, and it is a absolute travesty of justice that happened to that guy. He did nothing. He did nothing. He showed up at the end of the scenario. He only did his job when someone else called him for help, and he will sit in prison the rest of his life. And that is easily one of the biggest travesties of justice that has ever happened in this country. It's horrible.
I'm praying against that. And now these Black Lives Matter people are getting federally charged for fraud and all of that. So we'll see, how all that works out. But I pray for that man too. I do. He was a law enforcement officer, and I back the blue always. I'm so grateful to our military, and I'm all about law and order in this country. Because if we don't have that, then we've got all these Somalians coming in, and the rest of us women will be wearing burqas before we know it.
No kidding. Go ahead, Barbie. Get your hand up.
I was wondering, Walter, if you heard. So I didn't post this. I should have, and I didn't. But Jesse Waters did like a little segment on what's going on with the stabbing of God. Why does his name just escape me? I'm losing my mind. Oh my God, you just said Derek Chavash.
Derek
My
Chauvin.
mind is like, yep, my mind is completely fried. But he was talking about the stabbing that happened in prison. How the guy who stabbed him was like an FBI informant. There's like a very weird story that is very troubling there. He
That's
was an
interesting.
FBI informant. And before that, he was like part of the cartels. I mean, something very. Oh, and he was about to get out after serving like 25 years, and all of a sudden he decided to like stab him, and then he decided to like confess to stabbing him and guarantee himself another like very long sentence. I have to find that clip. It was very strange, and I keep meaning to like dig into it, and I haven't.
That's
I was wondering if
interesting.
anyone heard about that. Very
I have
interesting.
not heard that before. That's pretty interesting, though. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, to me, you never know how they managed to get people to do things. I mean, they could have made a deal that his family gets something if he gets rid of this guy. Who knows? I mean, these people are nuts. I mean, it is really that corrupt. So who knows?
Yeah, Walter, I think that the Tina Peters thing is intentional. And I think that the Trump administration's legal team and they, of all people, he clearly knows there's a difference between state and federal crimes because, he faced fire on all of them. I think that they're going to use that. They're doing that intentionally to run it all the way to the Supreme Court, where because it's never been litigated and adjudicated by the Supreme Court. It's always been an understanding that the president, who's the chief officer, for the chief executive officer of the United States, that he can only do federal pardons. No one's challenged that at the Supreme Court level, to my knowledge, um, on state crimes. And
That's
so this is
interesting.
going to be an interesting play. And I also wonder. I mean, I think the reason why he chose now was because I think that he needed I think the administration needed some more concrete evidence when it came to Dominion and like Smartmatic and these voting machines and and all the things that were involved there before they can make a move like that. I'm gonna be watching that one closely. I always thought it was wrong anyway, but it was like the whole J6 thing, right? At the time, it was just like the whole thing was just overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh! But I do think that that's what it took for them to act, and I think we're gonna see more when it comes out here. I think there's gonna it's gonna go to the Supreme Court, period, because it's gonna get challenged. It's gonna go to the appeals. No matter who wins, it's going to the Supreme Court because they're gonna challenge it all the way up.
So you're saying that you think that the Trump administration is going to argue that the pardon itself is legal and that she should be released, and they're going to challenge that at the Supreme Court. Is that what the argument is? Is that
I think
something
they're
that's
gonna
going through the
argue.
court system right now, or are they just not even doing anything? That's what the question is.
Yeah, I think they did go directly to the Department of Corrections, which was interesting, and the attorney, I think it was the Attorney General of Colorado, and the governor, to free her, to release her to federal custody, and they refused to. They said,
Interesting.
in a nutshell, they responded that the president has no authority over state crimes. We do not honor it, and I think that was intentional.
It'd be interesting if that's how they're intentionally doing that. I mean, I've not heard that theory. Maybe. Whoever just joined the show, if you're up here talking, please keep your mic muted and put your hand up if you'd like to chime in. This show is broadcast a couple different places. It just screws up the audio for other people. So that is interesting, though, Chris. I never even thought about that, and I didn't. I've never heard of that idea that it's never been challenged at the Supreme Court before. I just always, my understanding of the legal system is that state crimes are separate, and that a federal pardon from the president can't release someone from state crimes. If that does change, if that's what the intention is, I don't know. That's interesting. We'll have to look at it. It'll be very interesting.
It also takes away a massive weapon for the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
So remember, that's what they really tried to do, was to get state crimes in New York and in Georgia against the president, against then former president turned president now, Trump, and that was the strategy. They knew they couldn't do them at the federal level. They had to do them at the state level. And so I think that takes a massive weapon away from them. But it's going to be an interesting argument because it involves the authority of the executive, the president of the United States. And so you have these characters on the Supreme Court, Roberts and a few others, that are going to make that deciding vote. And so it's going to be interesting to see where that comes down.
Right. Yep. Jay, go ahead if you want. Anybody that's co-host, you're welcome to chime in at any point, obviously.
No, thanks, Walter. Yeah, what Christopher said, absolutely. The other day, the lawyer was on TV saying the same thing, that yes, we want the president to issue the pardon so we could take this to the Supreme Court to say that he does have jurisdiction over this case because of the federal elections and everything else that involved in this case. So this has kind of been planned, I think. And also, I don't think it was an accident that that pardon came out the night before the letter was redacted that the DOJ had sent by Todd Blanche in early November requesting her transfer. And a lot of the stuff in that letter lays out a lot of things about how it seems like this is a lawfare case, how she has the receipts and a lot of other things that came out. I forget the name of the paper. It was a local paper that requested the unredacted version of that letter, and it came out today. So this has all been planned. I think the timing is nothing about the timing of any of this is coincidental right now.
Well, there's one thing that I do hope that we're paying attention to, that, the Trump administration and Trump himself is one of the best politicians when it comes to timing and stuff like that, better than pretty much anybody else. So I do hope that what we've been seeing is that, a lot of the stuff that would be super damaging to the Democrats, I'm hoping, we've yet to see it this yet, but I'm hoping that the intention is that they're going to try and bring this stuff out when it's the most damaging for the Democrats heading into the midterms. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot of this Act Blue stuff. By the way, the Act Blue stuff is going to be encompassing all kinds of stuff, people. That's the biggest part to me. The Act Blue investigation is all over the place. It's going to hit all sorts of places. The people from Black Lives Matter, Act Blue is the how Black Lives Matter is funded, by the way, if you guys don't know that. So I think the Act Blue investigation is going to encompass a lot of things that we haven't even seen yet. And I am very interested to see because the thing about financial crimes is the reason I like financial crimes for our purposes is that it's black and white. If you've got it on the ledger and you see the transaction and the payments and all that stuff, you can't hide that in a court. Okay. You can't make it ambiguous. You can say, here is the transaction and we have the receipt for the transaction. This is where the money came from. This is how it got there. And that's, I think, it's an open and shut idea. At least maybe that's in the Trump administration's mind. I think that's maybe the way they're looking at it. But at the same time, I think that might be a bit wishful thinking only because I think the Democrats don't seem to care. And especially these, activist judges, they don't care at all. Like I said, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the MS-13 gangbanger, they just said that he has to be released, even though they told him that they needed to fix something on a technicality. They fixed the technicality. And then, hold on, Jacktron. Then they fixed the technicality. And then after they fixed the technicality, they still said that he has to be released. These people they don't care. They don't care at all. Go ahead, Jacktron.
Well, he was actually giving some statements today. It's in the files if you want to play the clip. It's under Maryland Dad.
Maryland Dad. Yeah, I can put that up
Before
here.
you play that really quick,
Go
by the
ahead.
way, his lawyers who took his case pro bono, his $1,000 an hour lawyers, like all three of them, one of whom is a partner at a DC boutique firm that handles immigration law, they are heavily involved with CASA and my brain is not remember like three of the other leftist NGOs that if I could remember the name of, you guys would all know them.
It's all the Normizing crowd. We looked at this months ago.
Yes.
We looked at this months ago because this guy, this MS-13 gangbanger, is not just going to have magically have K Street lawyers following him around. Okay, this is obviously
called in a favor, immediately, when he was picked up, they called in a favor to one of the biggest, the most prominent boutique immigration law firms that specialize in Supreme Court cases.
Yeah, again, this is the thing is to me, the reason, in my theory, is the reason they're so focused on Abrego Garcia is because their intention with this guy is to beat over the top of the head of everybody that you can't even deport one guy. That's what the message is with them. It was not about, whether or not what this guy did it's the message that they're sending is we won't even let you get away with a single deportation. That's what the intention is. That's what the message that they're trying to send out to the public is, that we won't even let you do that. That's what they want to get away with. And the fact that they can't, this is why I'm telling, my thing is, this is when you just need to ignore them. Okay. And I know that people don't like to hear that, but my thing is, it's time. Okay, you got to do this. Otherwise, this is the demoralization effort by the left. Okay, they want to demoralize people and say that you can't do this and we're not going to let you do this. It's time to start going the opposite direction with this because the left is making it very clear what their message is. We own the courts. Get the hell over it. You can't do anything. Even when you go to the Supreme Court gives you what your answer, whatever the answer is in the Supreme Court is. They ignore it essentially. I mean, how many times have we had the National Guard show up? Okay, in one of these cities, right? The National Guard shows up and then they immediately challenge it, and it's the same ruling. It's the same ruling that they already had in other states, but they issue the ruling anyway from a district court, and they have to go back to the Supreme Court and back to an appeals court to do it again. How many times do we have to do that? Why do we have to do that?
Walter, the judge in Abrego Garcia's case issued a restraining order against ICE from apprehending him. He's been indicted for human smuggling.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever heard of such a thing?
I mean, this is the point is the point is very clear. It's a demoralization effort, okay? That's what they want. They want you to know that you can't even deport someone that is a scumbag. That's because we own the courts. That's what their message is. It's a messaging game, guys.
And if we could actually impeach Boasberg, or at least, I don't care if it's not successful, bring it to the place where it's front and center in the media, all over Congress, nonstop. That would be very helpful for morale. I'm just saying.
This is what I keep saying, like the accountability aspect that we keep fighting about. And I keep saying that accountability is mandatory; it's not optional. But the deal is that even if you can't manage to get things to be done, you can't go all the way through, and you can't win. That doesn't matter. Just do it anyway. Okay, you have to do something. You have to make sure that people see that we're willing to do something. That's what my point is. And that's what it's very, very difficult to sit here and watch all of this stuff because it makes everybody on the right think that, well, nothing's happening. Even though things are happening, but the demoralization effort is everywhere. Okay, every time we do anything, we get challenged in a district court. Almost, it doesn't matter what the ruling is. It doesn't matter what the idea is. It's always challenged instantly, and they always side with them because they're selecting their judges and they know exactly who to pick and they know exactly where to go. So they select their judges and then they make sure that you know, and they put it out in the media. See, look, he can't even do it. You can't even deport this guy. You can't even cancel these visas. You can't even do this. You can't do that. That's the deal. And to me, the message is very clear. Screw you guys. We're in control still. Even though you guys have both the House and the Senate and the presidency, we're still in control. That's what the message is. And they're making it very clear. I mean, how exactly is a Democrat Party that doesn't, theoretically, they shouldn't have any control over anything, right? That's a theory. They shouldn't. They're not in control of the House. They're not in control of the Senate. They don't have the executive branch. But somehow they're still getting their things done. They're still getting things to happen because they're everywhere. They're everywhere, and they are fighting on all fronts in every single area, which is why it drives me crazy that we cannot seem to get the Republicans to understand that we need to make sure we maintain the damn midterms. And if that means we have to redistrict in every single frickin' state, then that's what we have to do. You know, earlier today, someone was fighting with me about this, and they said, well, we don't want to be part of this war with the Democrats. We don't want to be part of this redistricting war. It's like, well, that's cute. That's adorable. You think that you get to choose whether or not you're in a war with the Democrats or not? You don't get that choice. They're in the war. We're in it, whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter. They're going to play the game whether you like it or not. That doesn't matter to them. It is irrelevant to you and to me and to anybody else what you think about what's going on, because the Democrats see it one way, and their way is we're going to win and we're going to retake control no matter what the hell else we have to do. It doesn't matter to us. That's what their plan is. And if people don't get on board with that, we're going to lose the midterms. And I hope that people wake up.
Walter, just as an update on that too, so Republican Senator Eric Schmidt, who used to be an attorney general for the state of Missouri, has officially called for an impeachment inquiry into Judge Boasberg. Whether the Republicans, the worthless Republicans in the United States Senate, choose to do anything remains to be seen. But at least there's someone like him going on offense, and hopefully others will go on offense to try to push for that. It has to be done. And also, I got to go back and look, Walter, because I feel like Jay, Walter, Barbie, I feel like when we first started doing spaces earlier this year, I felt like there was a connection. Wasn't there a connection with Boasberg?
Yes, his
wife. His wife worked.
yeah.
His wife was like a USAID something. I mean, that was And there was more than one case like that.
It's an abortion clinic, and the daughter also works there. She's a big activist as well.
Yeah, that's right. His daughter works for the key immigration activist group. That's right.
And
Yep.
the mother
So by the way, that
runs
segues
the
into how to get
abortion
rid of
clinic.
Guys, you can't
How to
talk
get rid
over
of
each
this?
other.
Go
Go
after
ahead.
the money.
What, Barbie?
Go after the money. Why are we not going after the money?
Oh,
Why
yeah.
are we not investigating Norm Eisen's NGOs?
Yep.
Cut the money off and cut the losses off. That it works.
And listen,
as
I
well
think
from
that all
side as
NGOs, we should just straight defund all NGOs, because I think if you're a non-governmental organization, then you shouldn't have government funding, because that would make you a governmental organization, right?
Well,
but also they're not nonpartisan. Like we need to strip them of their tax protection. Norm Eisen saved $200 million in taxes through his 15 NGOs. Strip them of their 501c4 status. They're not nonpartisan. They interchange staff between the partisan and the nonpartisan policy positions. The whole damn system is interchangeable. Okay, that is in violation of the IRS tax code. It's very clear cut, but nobody cares or does anything about it. Strip them of the money. The lawsuits will stop.
Yeah, I agree. And there's other things that I think should be done as well. I mean, the fact that it's something that's always bothered me, this has always driven me crazy, okay? Like Planned Parenthood, okay? Planned Parenthood gets government funding, but Planned Parenthood also donates to Democrat campaigns. Why is that allowed? Like, seriously, I mean, what are we talking about? So you get government funding, and then you donate to Democrat campaigns? Why is that legal? Why is that even possibly legal? That doesn't make any sense to me. It's never made sense to me. Any government or any NGO, nonprofit, any of this stuff, if you donate to political campaigns, then you shouldn't be funded by the government, because that means that even if you say, well, the money's separate somehow, horseshit. Money is fungible, okay? If you're getting $5 million from the government to do something to do with healthcare, but then that means you have $5 million somewhere else that you can pump into somewhere else. I mean, that's nonsense. It's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's never made sense to me.
It's the same thing with the it's the same thing with AFSCME and SEIU and AFG. These are state, federal.
Oh, listen,
these are
the
taxpayer-funded
public
workers.
public unions should never be able to donate to political campaigns. The fact that that's even legal is it's insane to me. Okay, Southern, you've been trying to get in here, and then I got another hand. Go ahead, Southern.
I just wanted to add in teachers unions as well.
Oh yeah, it's same idea.
Oh, they kept all their COVID money. They never use it in the schools, and they've been screaming they need more money. Well, Elon found out they were just using one of the computers to get the money out like a cash machine.
Oh yeah.
And then,
Listen,
so
listen. One of the things that education doesn't want to talk about, and this is something that I'm very well informed on. The education system, what is their number one thing? They always demand more money. They always demand more. We always want more money. Well, the education system has been living in a world where the education was always inflating. It was always getting bigger. That's not about to happen anymore, guys. We're about to what's called the enrollment cliff. If you guys don't understand what the enrollment cliff is, we're actually going to reach a scenario where class sizes are getting smaller. Okay, this is going to start happening. This is a big thing that's about to start happening. Not to mention the fact that young men are no longer going to college anymore. There's been a huge drop off in young men going to college. And the amount of people that are attending colleges is continuing to decrease. And the amount of the funding that they keep asking for continues to increase. So there's a disparity there, and it's not going to last. Okay, because these schools, they're not going to be able to make it. And they've been making it up, by the way. They've been making that up with foreign students. That's the only way they've been able to make this up. The only way they've been able to keep themselves afloat is by using foreign exchange students that they've been bringing in on foreign visas. And if you got rid of them, there's a reason when Trump said that he was like the 600,000 Chinese thing. That to me, I agree. Everybody, I don't think it's a good thing again. But the deal is that, yeah, a whole bunch of colleges are going to go under if you start removing the foreign students. But to me, I think that's a good thing. I think it should all go under. They all need to. It's time.
Randy Weingarten was a member of the DNC for 23 years.
Oh, yeah.
She was on NDI. She was the board of NDI.
Yeah.
The National Democrat Institute.
Yep.
I mean, there's no. She is a political hack. I mean,
I love that, by the way, Randy Weingarten managed to get the union to fund her book tour. Did you guys see that? That was nice, right? Like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, just why not? Like, I mean, just at this point, all of the ridiculous amount of like the Democrats is, if you're a Democrat, it must be great to be a Democrat. It has to be, right? Like, you can do whatever you want. They fund everything for you. If you're a Democrat, like if you're a Democrat darling, nothing can be done wrong. You can never go to prison. They fund all of your stuff. They give you book deals. Even if you go out and say completely false things like the Kavanaugh woman, they just give you a book deal and pay you off afterwards. I mean, that's always been such a grift. If you guys don't understand that, like whenever there's a Democrat operative that goes out there and does stuff, they always get a book deal, and no one reads that fucking book. But somehow they become a New York Times bestseller every single time. Like no one reads that book. No one reads that crap. I mean, like then no one cares. No one cares about it at all. But it hits the national bestseller books because there's a warehouse full of all the horseshit book deals somewhere out there. Like I don't know where that warehouse it is. I don't know what they do with all those books after they buy them. They just fill them and stack them to the ceiling. It's like in Indiana Jones where there's like where they show all of that stuff. There's a whole warehouse full of book deals, and it's all the Democrats operatives that they pay off with book deals. That's how that works.
I swear, Walter, I was just going to say that. It's where they store the Ark.
Yeah, exactly. The Ark is just all of the Hillary Clinton books that no one read. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, that's
Walter,
it.
you remember when we talked about this back in the spring, and we figured out that the NEA was purchasing her books.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. It's like, oh, well, that's legal. What the fuck, man? I mean, it's just crazy to me. Okay, Keymaker, you got your hand up, but Barbie, you have your hand up to your co-host. You can go ahead with whatever.
I'm just going to say something about the NGOs really quickly, and then I'm going to be done. I mean,
You're fine.
Someone from the administration is listening to the space, because the way that all of this donating to Democrats happens is they gamed the system a long time ago, because this 501c3, 501c4 business, they commingle all of it. They do all of the political stuff on the 501c4 and all of the pretend non-political / grants on the 501c3. But they have the exact same staff, the same offices, the same buildings, the same policy positions, the same people lecturing and going on MSNBC and filing lawsuits and all this crap. It's the biggest grift ever. We are losing so much money in tax revenue. If you just strip them of their freaking tax exemption, we could have like so much money from these people.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It would stop. It would all stop.
Listen, the waste, fraud, and abuse.
NGOs run the world.
If we really, really did stop all of the true waste, fraud, and abuse, I think we would have a surplus by like a wide margin. Like I'm not even joking. I don't even doubt it at this point. The amount of fraud that exists, the amount of stuff that's everywhere in every single agency. I mean, the amount of Medicaid fraud, the amount of NGO fraud, the amount of everything fraud. I mean, guys, I think it's probably to the tune of $500 billion. Like I don't even doubt it. I mean, my guess is it's somewhere around that. I mean, Obamacare. I mean, that's just Medicaid, though. That's just Medicaid. We're talking about all the other crap too. I mean, I think it's everywhere. I think it really is that bad. Okay, Keymaker, you've had your hand up for a minute. What's up, buddy?
Hey, yeah, so I was just chiming in at the end, kind of at the end of the conversation here, but I noticed what Barbie was saying, and it made me think. Like every year, I go to these Christmas parties and stuff, and these are all like I always tell everybody it's like low level employees, but they're all government employees, and we do try to make our voice heard, and we always end up like putting together like a list of things that we wish could happen, especially when it comes to like what cases are being ignored, what things are not being addressed. It really should be, because they're easy, they're simple, and we try and boil it down and then send that information in, and eventually the following year is when you'll actually usually see it addressed. So we're going to be working on that soon. So Barbie, if you have anything, just DM me and I'll look into it and try and make it part of our conversation when we have these topics. Because even though it's a Christmas party, all we talk about is how to fix the government. Like that's all, like all of the problems. That's all we.
I have the solution. I have the solution. I have a great solution. Fire everybody. It'll be beautiful. Okay, just
we
just
tried
do it.
that.
Well, no, I'm saying you just need to actually do it though. Like everyone says they tried it. You know one of the things that really pissed me off. Stephen Miller, when we came into this administration, you know what he said? The entire NSC was going to be sacked on day one. The entire National Security Council was going to be sacked the first day, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing! Yes, do it." Do it right away. And somehow they convinced them that they shouldn't do that. And that was a mistake. God, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Fire them all of them. Get them all out.
Oh, trust me. I know next year there's going to be a lot of changes. There's already a lot of things that are going to be happening in the first lineup of next year. I'm sure a lot of us are going to be really happy with some of those things. But I was thinking as Barbie was speaking and other people were speaking, when it comes to these 501s, there is a complete different reality the way that a 501 is looked at, and you're starting to see it the way that they address the Erica Kirk. They believe that the money at TPUSA is her personal money to do whatever she wishes with. That's how they view it. That's how their side views those sort of organizations, to be their little pet project that they can do whatever they want with the money. I really do think we need some sort of some sort of more, like, I don't know if it's more
Sorry about that.
regulation. I hate more regulation. You know what I mean? I hate more rules, but I think that we need to actually address some of these ones, like, that people have been getting away with that are unreasonable, right? Like, we have to restrain these organizations that are, like, you know, the one that you were talking about earlier that I think is mind blowing. But how do the unions get all of this money? Some of these public unions, they get a lot of money from the government and then they funnel it directly into candidates.
Yeah, I mean, that's
how's
something to
that
me
even
that,
possible?
that should just be illegal. That just has to be illegal. By the way, guys, we are over time, so we are past 11:30. We're past 11:15 now, guys. I appreciate everyone who showed up here this evening. If there's any final comments from anybody on the panel, if you have anything else you want to say, this is the Political Theater, guys. I'm Walter Kerr. Thank you guys for being here. Anybody on the panel want to make any final words, and we're going to cut out for the evening.
Hey, Walter, ironically, that topic you just talked about with the NSC,
Mm-hmm.
I went back and looked, and it was their motion to keep their job was denied in February, but then in April, another judge put a restraining order on them losing their job.
Of course. I mean, that's just, of course it is. I mean, that's what's ridiculous. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we have to get over. There has to be a real shift in the way that we treat this stuff. There has to be. There's no other options. All right. Any other final? Go ahead, Jay.
There's two people with their hands up if you want to get to them real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Whoever's got your hand up.
Tommy,
If you want to...
yeah, Tommy and Shelley.
Okay, go ahead, Shelley, and go ahead, Tommy.
Go ahead, Shelley.
Thank you, Walter. I appreciate this space. It's good to hear a lot less moaning and groaning and more resolutions and what to do, et cetera, et cetera. I dropped in the purple pill, the Indiana. We need to concentrate on Indiana and the midterms. But really why I came up, Walter, is you're familiar with General Douglas MacArthur?
Yes.
My great uncle was in the Death March of Bataan, and the more I read about MacArthur, the less I like what he did there. Can you ease my worries?
About MacArthur?
And then when Tulsi Gabbard came out with Tulsi came out with the nuclear thing.
Listen.
Right
I don't. I'm not going to be able to specifically. Hold on a minute. You've got your mic. I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay, sorry. Okay, so you've still got your mic. You got to keep your mic muted, Shelley. Otherwise, it's going to give me a ton of feedback. Okay, so MacArthur specifically, and anybody that this is something that I try and tell people a lot when it comes to general figures in history. Okay. Everybody today wants to go back and nitpick what people did, great people in history, what they did, how they did it, why they did it, how they're evil or they're bad or they made bad decisions. Well, you know, great people are great people for a reason, and you don't know why they did those things in the minute. There's a lot of these things that happen when it's in the fog of the moment where they had to make decisions, and maybe they were good decisions, maybe they were bad decisions, but at the end of the day, they're still great people for the things that they actually did manage to accomplish. So I tell people not to go back and go look over these things. It's like trying to say, well, the founding fathers, we shouldn't pay any attention to them because, well, they had slaves. Well, so did the rest of the frickin' world, okay? You know what the difference is? Is they built this country, and this country became the freest and most fair country in the entire planet and ended slavery to the point that it is now the best country that's ever been existed, okay? That's how you need to look at it. You know, you want to go tear down the statues of great men in history years later because you don't like what they did. Well, they have statues, okay? Why do they have statues? Because we're supposed to remember what they did, not what their flaws were. Everybody is flawed. Every human in history is always going to be flawed. They're always going to have problems. But the reality is that the people that in history that are important, you should look at what they did instead, in spite of their flaws. And that's the important part to remember about it. So keep that in mind for MacArthur. Okay, Tommy Casanova, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll land really quickly on this. I just wanted to piggyback on what Barbie was discussing about the NGOs and how it ties into what I was saying about the ideological capture of the public workforce. Is about 80% of all federal grant dollars flow into progressive NGOs. I think, one, that's a major problem. And I wanted to mention to Key is that out of the, regardless of the 29 categories of 501Cs through 1 through 29, when you donate, if you're a donor, the larger the donor you are, you could donate what are called restricted funds that determine exactly how those dollars are spent. Unfortunately, for a lot of NGOs, it's just unrestricted donations, right? Especially all the micro donations, and that's where you really don't see where that money goes. And it's one of the reasons why I say, by the way, if we're going to win the midterms, we cannot rely on the RNC and the WinRed pipeline. It's probably the absolute worst, and we really do need to build our own grassroots coalition across the country, and we need to do that now. And I'll end there. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Tommy. By the way, guys, I have to make a comment here. So one of the people on one of the streams, this is Christine on Substack here. So months ago, if you guys have been listening to the show for a long time, I told everybody to invest in mining companies because my theory was that mining was going to become a thing again in this country and that it was going to be worth looking at. Well, interestingly enough, apparently Christine bought a bunch of mining stock, and she is telling me now that it has now doubled since she purchased it, which is just hilarious. So if you're here, if you listen to this show, apparently you get investment advice months in advance and you actually make some money here. By the way, we got Matt Tardio up here on stage. What's up, Matt?
Trying to swallow my Whataburger as I drive across the state of Texas for a lovely racist protest over in Plano tomorrow. I really look forward to it. But yeah, you're not wrong on the mining, man, at all. And all that has to do with like the shortage of silver that's like in the country and how like it's basically in price discovery mode right now. And it's gonna be huge. And I don't think a lot of people realize it. I don't think a lot of people realize what it means for the system. And yeah. It's just disgusting. Who do you want me to trash on next? Ilhan Omar? You want me to trash on her husband? Did you talk about her husband's wine company yet?
We haven't talked about the wine company. The opening of the show was actually walking through a whole different scenario here, Matt, that I hadn't even noticed this. So I didn't see this story when it came out. Apparently the DNA test, that there was some guy that released a DNA story about Ilhan Omar that proved that it was her brother. And then they arrested him within 24 hours and then, threw him in prison and threw away the key. Like, it was like, what the hell? I mean, I didn't even hear about this. So it's to me, the whole thing I was looking at is like, is it really unrelated that we have billions of dollars in Somalian fraud and Ilhan Omar suddenly rises to power and she's got all this stuff? Like, is it really unrelated? I don't think so.
Well, my favorite part is her first husband that became her third husband that she cheated on with her now husband. Like all of the stuff besides her brother. And her now husband donated, I think it was like $600,000 to her campaign while she was sleeping with him, allegedly. And then now he starts up this company. It was worth $40,000 one year, and then the next year it's worth $25 million.
Of course.
Like, give me a freaking break.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of fraud is insane.
Can we talk also about how not Muslim it is for your husband to own a freaking like alcohol beverage company? Can we throw that one out there?
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's Somalian fraud. That's the only thing that matters in it, Matt. You got to remember that. So, I mean, it's in Somalia, all that matters is that you get more money from the people that are stupid enough to give it to you, apparently. And apparently we're pretty dumb here because we give away billions. Yeah, billions of dollars. And we've just been well, I mean, not us. Let's be very clear. This is the morons that are running Minnesota that have allowed this to happen, which is this seriously retarded Tim Walz. That is just reality.
Walter, I posted in the Purple Pill an article from Minneapolis. I think it was from Minneapolis, from October of this year. That said, it was an editorial. It shows the Minnesota taxpayer is literally funding Al-Shabaab.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was another story that came out last week. Chris Rufo proved some of the stuff showing that it was funding terrorism. So this is just going to continue to expand. But I'm glad everyone enjoyed the show to this tonight. Matt, thanks for showing up here at the end of the show, man. Next time we're on here, we'll make sure we actually get you in. I need to actually see if we can get you on the show. By the way, Matt, I want to give you a call at some point here in the near future because some things are about to change at the first of the year for me. So I want to get a hold of you and talk to you about some of that stuff. But anyway, guys, this is the
number. Give me a call.
Yeah, I will. Guys, thank you guys for being here. This is the Political Theater. Thank you guys for tuning in this evening, guys. We will be back on Monday night because this is Friday. I might have a weekend show. I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm doing a weekend show because I did miss 2 days this week, so I'll probably do at least one weekend show, maybe. But I'll let you guys know. And if you guys always go to WCDispatch.com and you get subscriptions there, and you can also, it'll notify you when we start a show. Thank you guys, whoever tuned in here to this evening. Thank you guys. Make sure you guys follow all of my speakers up here on stage. I've got a bunch of great people on this panel this evening. Make sure you guys follow Insurrection Barbie J. Make sure you follow Matt Tardio, Southern Bell, Santron, Keymaker, Hill, all of these people up here. Make sure you follow Chris. All of these people are great people. Make sure you guys go to WCDispatch.com and subscribe there. And if you guys want to subscribe to me, you can go to my X profile, and there are subscriptions available. There's going to be some exclusive stuff that's going to start coming out on that content. And also, if you go to WCDispatch.com, I'm actually going to start doing a separate show specifically for Substack subscribers, because that's what I'm trying to build out as the main platform for this show. So thank you guys for being here, and we will see you guys either over the weekend or we will be back on Monday. Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.
Some folks are born with a liberty spark. Their hearts beat red, white, and blue. When the anchors sneer and the cameras bark, they turn the lens right back at you. Truth bound, ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not the party line sons, no, it ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so. Some folks inherit silk-lined halls, spend our sweat while preaching share. But when the tax man wraps his knuckles raw, their mansions suddenly look bare, impaired. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not their banker-raised hairs, no. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so. Yeah, some paint stars on press room lies and send the common men to toil. Ask them, how much truth will you trade tonight? They mutter, more noise, more noise, more noise. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. Not the theater's pawns, friend. It ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're America's steadfast ones. No, we won't be spun.